My guest today on You Can Do Hard Things is somebody with really deep links to Peterborough United. He co-owns a football club, he's an entrepreneur and he's a pro golfer. So today, let's get into the story behind all of that and find out the journey that's made the man. Welcome, Iain Crawford. Right, thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
Making time for me, I know you're a very busy man.
That's quite all right.
Dropping these everywhere.
It's taken a while, but we got her eventually.
Yeah. Right, I've got a shit ton of questions, but let's just roll with it. So, Let's start easy.
Okay, easy's good.
Easy's good. Who is Iain Crawford? What gets you to where you are today? And
Well, if you go right back to the very, very, very beginning, I was actually born in England, believe it or not, and it's a standing joke with a lot of people who know me because I am very passionately Scottish, but people.
But you're actually not.
But you were born in England. Yeah, but it's to do with blood, not where you're born. So, So I was actually born in England and lived the first few years of my life down south. We moved north. I don't know if you remember back. I can't remember. It was in the 80s. There was a.
No, of course I can't remember. Calm down.
But you'll have heard of. There was a massacre in Hungerford.
I do remember that.
Yeah, well, that's where I lived. That's where I was born and brought up, and we had two houses in Hungerford. We moved north the year before it happened, so we knew a few people that were affected by it. But yeah, we moved north just with my dad's job, and we moved to central Scotland, and didn't leave until it was time to spread my wings and fly. So I lived in Scotland for 10, 11, 12 years, and then returned to England. But I am Scottish, and don't let anybody tell you differently.
So you come down here at what age?
So came back down here in God, now you're testing me on my maths. So I've been back down here, well, best part of 20 years now. So
have you held on to that accent then? Do you deliberately hold on?
Now you see, yes, I deliberately hold on to it. I have 4 kids, and the elder 2, because obviously they were in Scotland when they were born.
They're real Scots.
Yeah, all right. They had, especially my daughter, a very broad Scottish accent, very, very strong.
Yeah.
We moved south, and I noticed as they went through high school in particular, they both kind of lost it. And when they were at home speaking to me, they'd sound like me. Oh, wow. But when they were with their friends, like they were having a sleepover or whatever, I'd walk into the room and my daughter particularly would be chatting away and I'd be like,
who is this?
Who the fuck is that? What happened to you? Why did you suddenly sound like one of them? So she's still hold on to it a little bit, but that's, I guess, made me want to retain it and not lose it.
So what did Dad do as a job then to take you up there?
So my dad was a finance man, born and bred from just outside Glasgow, from Paisley, same time as down as my mum. Okay. They moved down south for work. My mum is was a radiographer. She's literally.
They meet? Oh no, I was going to say, did they meet through work? Well,
no, school.
Yeah. Okay.
They met through school. They'd been together for years. Then they were kind of childhood sweethearts. Separated for a couple of years and then came back together. Nice. And my mum's, she was born in 48, so that makes her 77 now. And she literally, because she took very unwell last year, she literally just officially retired this year at 77.
Oh, wow. She
loves her job and she's a proper grafter, my mum. So there's not many people. You're a very lucky person in life if you can go through life. And there's a saying, isn't it? When you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. My mum was very much the epitome of that. She absolutely loved it.
And you're one of, did you say one of 4?
No, I've got 4 kids. Yeah, I'm one of 2. Okay. I have a younger brother who still lives in the same town that we grew up in, where my parents still live today. He and I are very different. I love my brother dearly, and I would do anything for him. But I'm adventurous. I'm a traveller. I'm a risk taker. I tend to put myself out there, whereas my brother's the polar opposite. He's quiet, reserved, doesn't like change. Has worked for the same company, and he does incredibly well. My brother's uber intelligent. He's written programs for Highland Spring, for the water company who he works for, that basically took their production process and made it automated. So the computer program that produces all the bottles of water that you drink, he wrote that along with somebody else. Him and somebody else wrote
Yeah.
it. So he's a mega, mega clever guy. But
Sort of things you don't really think about, isn't it? They just kind of just happen, but
Yeah.
somebody's responsible for it.
exactly. And they won awards for it and everything. Did I enjoy school? As I got older, my vision was very much sport oriented. I was very good at rugby and golf. So that became a focus, and I was going to be a professional at one of them. So the whole medicine, law careers were never of any interest to me because I was going to be a professional at some kind of sport. That never really materialised, but
I was going to say that. So, you said they're rugby or golf. Was there a reason? Obviously,
rugby I was pretty good at. I'm not a small guy, so rugby I kind of fit in quite well at. I was not too bad. I played football, and I played centre half, but I was never beyond being a decent enough under 15, under 16 football. I was never going to even get into like an academy level or anything like that. Rugby I was pretty good at. I played to kind of regional level. Could have probably gone on, but I was always, from when I started to take it seriously, it was very obvious golf was the sport I was going to excel at. And I turned pro. I was a professional golfer, when I was 17.
It's quite a young age to play golf. I thought it was,
No, I played golf from a very young age. My dad, when we lived down in England, my dad was a cricketer. My dad was a very good cricketer. My dad played cricket and he played badminton. He was never quite county level, but he played minor county cricket, my dad. So he was good at it. And but when we came to Scotland, or moved back to Scotland in his case, he went to the local cricket club where we moved to in Perth, in the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. And he went along one day and he literally went for one evening training session, came home at night and said, I'm giving up cricket. And I was like, well, what? And his exact words were, and I'll never forget, he said, to be honest, son, they're all shite. The level just wasn't where he wanted to be, even at his age. And he was getting on then. When we came back, he was well into his 30s, late 30s. And he was just like, not for me. He said, but I need something to do. There was no badminton club really to speak of around where we lived. And they were his two sports. He played a lot of squash, but again, so he took up golf. So when he took up golf, that then fed down to me at that point, and I got a first set of golf clubs when I was like 10 years old, something like that. And it was just something I'd do with my dad, and we'd go and play. And it wasn't very long where I started to realise that actually I'm not too bad at this. And then, in fairness to my parents, both of them, they ferried me all over the country and the UK in my younger years, and every spare, because we weren't, whilst my dad had decent jobs and stuff, we were never what you'd call massively affluent. So they a lot of the spare money went into me. And then in time, my brother, because my brother's also a very good golfer, and actually, I hope he never sees this, but he was better than me, and he never turned pro, but he was just a better golfer than me. So they put so much money into us, and travelling the country, playing in like the Scottish under-16s, the Scottish under-18s, Scottish schoolboy teams, and all this kind of stuff. That was always my aim, and then I left school at 17 or thereabouts because I'd had enough, basically, because there was a little while where I thought I'd probably end up going into accounts, and then I realised that I might
because Dad was finance as well, right?
Correct.
So it's in you.
Yeah, exactly. And my uncle, my mum's brother, my uncle, he was the finance director for some pretty big companies in Scotland, and he owned a couple of them jointly with a few other people. So that was kind of where I thought I'd end up, because to me that was business, and if golf wasn't going to be a thing, I'd get into business somehow. So that was why accounts and economics was something that I did at high school. And then I got to the end of it, got my hires, and then at 17, thought, I'm done with school now. And my parents both wanted me to go to uni, and I was like, man, I'm not doing that. I want to go and either want to play golf or I want to go and earn money. That's what I want to do. And so I played golf, and I turned pro. And I was a professional out of a place in Aberdeen that had a lot of really good young professionals linked to it. One of them went on to win the Open and stuff like that. So it was a good, solid squad of players. But got an injury, stopped me playing. So decided that wasn't the path for me. So I needed to go and earn money, because I couldn't just wait for my injuries to heal, my wrist injuries and stuff to heal.
Was that what it was, wrist?
Yeah, and it was like, I need to go and earn money now. So I ended up just going into retail, because that was all I could do. But I've always, Actually, probably less so as I've got older in some ways, but in my younger days, I was a gobshite. So I'd happily go and speak to anyone. And my dad would always tell his pals in the pub, "Oh, here he comes. Here comes gobshite." and then the Scottish pubs are a bit like that. Is there any Arabs in here? Any Arabs? Because he can sell sand to the Arabs, this one. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like, he's a bit, it was a bit like that. So I got into retail, but it was customer facing. So I worked in the alcohol department, surprisingly, where you had to then deal with customers, make suggestions on what wines they would go with what food, and if they like whiskey and whether they wanted to be smoky, peaty, mild, strong, and all this kind of stuff. So you had to learn all that. So I enjoyed that, and then that took me to working for a company called Odd Bins. I don't know if
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they were big years ago. I don't think they've been overtaken by Wine Warehouse and other such places now. And there's another Majestic as well as another one. So
people don't go to Vicky Wines anymore, do they? In the same way.
Well, Vicky Wine was probably Odd Bins' biggest competitor.
Oh, okay.
And so I worked there for many years.
God, Vicky Wines, I don't even know what I last heard someone say. It's anyone
Vicky Wines is, I mean, does it even exist? I don't know. Is it a thing anymore? I don't think so.
I have no idea. Vicky
People
Wines.
just go to supermarkets now, don't they?
Yeah. Get it through on delivery. That's me, because I can't be bothered to get off my arse.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to pay for the nose for it. I don't care. I'm not getting off my sofa. And it'd be here in 22 minutes. I'm down for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take my money.
By the time I actually get my arse off the sofa, put shoes on, get in the car, that'll be more or less here.
Yeah, exactly. And the energy I've spent is not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you get the injury on the wrist? What is it?
How did I?
What's the wrist injury?
I fell.
And then fell on it?
Yeah.
So is that a recurring type injury that happens? Because I know my ankle, I fell on it once, and now...
No, not really. This was just, I was out walking in the winter and it was icy and... No, I wasn't. I was actually stone cold sober. I wish I had been drunk.
Yeah.
And because it might have hurt less. Or I might have not been so aware and just crumpled. But because I was on the ice and my foot went from under me, and I suddenly thought, shit. So I put my hand out to catch myself falling, and it just...
That way, yeah.
And so that was it. I couldn't play for... Well, it was going to be at least a whole year, so I had to then think, do you know what?
Do you play at all now, though, golf? Would you,
I'm back.
Or are you kind of like, it just feels too... not raw, that's not quite the right word, but just feels a bit too...
So I didn't play for years and years and years. Didn't play because I was a bit bitter about it all and everything else. And I always took solace that I'd always wanted to be a professional golfer, and I'd achieved that. I didn't achieve its fullest potential, but I'd achieved kind of what I set out to achieve.
That makes sense.
So I always took a bit of solace with that, but I didn't play for a while just because. Well, it sounds a bit pussy actually, but I didn't know whether it was going to hurt. So I thought, you know what? I got to the point where I wasn't missing it. Golf had been my entire life when I was growing up for the last 2-3 years of my teenage years, I suppose, that I didn't really miss it. So I thought, I don't know what. And then about 10, 12 years ago, about 10 years ago, actually through my son's football team. So my son was a really good little footballer. And he played for this team based out Boston way. And as you do, standing on the sidelines watching your boy, you get chances from other parents, and a couple of them played golf at Boston. So the conversation came up one day, did you play? Oh, I used to play years ago, but I've not played for you. So I should come along one Saturday. I was like, oh, do you know what? Okay, I'll do it. So I dusted the clubs off, went along. And I ended up joining their little group, and then I played for about 2 years, but it was probably only about 4 months in before I told them that I used to be a pro after I'd taken the money off them every single week.
Hustler.
Well, I did for a little bit. I haven't played this year yet. I played probably 3 times last year, twice with Darragh and once with my boy on holiday at the end of August last year. We played in Cyprus.
You're better than Darragh, I assume, are you?
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Amazing.
Yeah, gotcha. He's one of them.
I bet you revel in that.
Let me tell you, the first time him and I ever played golf, right, at Isleworth, where he lives, and Isleworth's to golfers, Isleworth's a very well-known golf course. It's very highly renowned. Obviously, Tiger Woods was based there for many years.
You say that like I should know that. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So he said, come on, we'll play Isleworth. I was like, go on then. So we played, and him and I had not played golf before. We talked about it lots and everything else. And he said he used to play a lot when he was younger and stuff like that. He said, I've not played for years. He said, I'm a bit shit now. He said, I'll probably play off about a 26 handicap or something, which is not great.
Okay.
And we stands up on this first tee. And the first hole at Isleworth is about 380-ish, 390 yards. And it bends slightly round to the right. So on the apex of the corner, there's some trees here, high trees, and then there's houses. So he stands up and he's practiced swinging and he's whacked the ground a few times, taking divots out the ground, which you're not supposed to do on the tee. You do that on the fairway, but not on the tee. And I'm thinking...
Not at our work as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know where we are?
This will be all right. I'm quids in here. Because I'd agreed, and he said to me, well, you used to be a pro. I said, yeah, but I haven't played for years. So I was giving him like a shot a hole every single, he was getting at least one, sometimes 2 shots on every single hole. Well, he stands up and he then goes to hit it. And I swear to you, Jenny, this thing was still rising as it went over the top of the trees. There's no question that's landed on somebody's roof somewhere halfway down our work.
Through someone's
And at that
conservatory.
point I thought, oh shit, he's hustling me here. What D is very good from off the tee with the long clubs, but he's not so great chipping and putting. This is his weakness. Whereas when you play golf professionally, that's the one part. And I was never the world's greatest, but that's the one part of your game that's generally better than the average Joe. So
That's what makes you the pro.
he would hit it further than me, probably even further than I was hitting it in my days as a pro. But when we got close to the green, it would take him 3 shots, 4 shots, and I'd been in 2 every time. So that was how it worked up. But I haven't played. It's one of those things that I always say to myself, yeah, I'm going to play more golf.
You've led into... How do you meet Darragh? How does that happen?
Through the football club, actually. So when I moved down here...
Where do you live local to here?
Yeah, so I live out in West Pinchbeck in South Lincolnshire. So it's like...
Oh, Spalding way.
The Spalding way, yeah.
Okay. That was where I went to school. I was Spalding
you?
High School, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
My daughter went to Spalding High School.
For the elite, obviously. It's the elite,
Obviously, it's where the smart 11 plus
Yeah.
pass people go.
Correct.
Yeah.
When I passed my 11 plus, my neighbour said to my mum, and my mum often reminds me of this, that they said to her, do you think you'd be better off just sending her to a comprehensive where she'd be at the top rather than at the bottom of the high school? I've always been underestimated and everything. I'm like, okay, so you think I'm thick as well then, cheers. Yeah. So I picked the tulips out of their garden. That went down.
Quite bloody right. A tulip, Spalding, there's a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, tulip parade. Have you ever been to tulip? Did you go to tulip parade?
I was there last weekend, or whenever it was. Last weekend, was it? Not the weekend just passed, weekend before.
Is it still on? They do the parade?
It disappeared for 15 years.
That long?
Yeah, and then it's come back 3 years ago. Some local bloke decided, I'm going to bring it back. He got loads of volunteers, and it was really, really good. To be fair, they did a cracking job. This year's was a little bit quieter. There's less floats, but yeah, it's still happening.
I remember like going through school and thinking, I quite fancy being tulip queen or whatever she's called.
Oh, why'd you not go
Obviously,
for it?
that never happened.
Why'd you not go for it?
Well, no. So
Yeah, I could just imagine you. And
can you
then,
imagine? Yeah, a bit of me, innit? With the crown on. Maybe not. I've had so many messy tulip parades.
oh yeah, that used to be that you were wiped out because it started on the Friday night and then ran all the way through into the bank holiday Monday, and it was just carnage.
Trying to find somewhere I could go to the toilet. I remember me and my friend at the time, my best friend Sophie, we used to do it all the time. And I used to, wherever I was living, I'd come back. And
Yeah.
my parents would be like, oh, here she is. Tulip, must be tulip parade, Jenny's here. And I remember one year we found a church that sort of had like a fete.
Yeah.
Toilets are free in there. No one ever went in there, so we were always in there and out. Kept lobbing 20p or whatever, but yeah, God, I've had some messy tulip parades.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember when it stopped. I didn't realise it was back
It's
again.
not quite. It'll never be as it was, and it's not the manic, mad, crazy weekends that it used to be. Where
It was a piss up, wasn't it?
It's constantly. I remember you used to walk down by the side of the river after the parade had gone, and you couldn't get down the side because it was just people
Yeah.
filled it.
What was that pub that was down the side there? Do you know the one from
The Lincolnshire Poacher. It was
the
called.
Poacher.
Yeah, the Poacher it was called. It's now an Indian restaurant, but it was.
No.
Yeah. About a year ago.
That's what happened to tulip parade. We lost the Poacher.
Yeah, the Poacher went. The Poacher stayed for a little while, but it went, and it's now an Italian restaurant, but it's not. Spalding's not the same anymore.
Well, I remember sort of driving there a little while ago, and like the sheep market used to drive round, isn't there?
Yeah, that's
and then
right.
somewhere else I'd go, I think, oh, that's now pedestrian. Keep away, just stay in Peterborough, Jenny. You're not meant to go back to Spalding.
Yeah, it's not. Spalding was never. It was never an amazing town in any stretch of imagination, but it's nowhere near what it was now, and it's a shame, and there are a million and one reasons for it, but it's never gonna. it'll never, the Tulip Parade will never be the same again. I think it's just, I personally think it's fairly impressive that they managed to reignite it and get enough people doing it.
I just remember seeing some of the floats. I genuinely just used to love them, really.
Yeah, they're very clever. I mean, there wasn't so many of them. But the fact that these things were like full trailer lengths and they literally were covered head to toe in flowers, and it's like somebody's actually spent the time to pin every one of these things on here, and it actually looks like it's something it's supposed to look like. Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So how did I meet Darragh?
How did Darragh come into your life?
I moved down
How
here.
did Darragh come into your life?
So when I moved down here, 20 years ago,
Oh, I see, because I asked where you live. That's it.
football has always been a big part of my life. My dad was a mad football fan, so as I think you should do, you either support your local team or your father's team.
Yeah.
So I followed my dad, and so my dad was a massive St Mirren fan, Scottish Premier Division team. And so for all my teenage years and all the way up until before I moved down here, I followed them home and away. Me, my dad and my brother would come a lot of the time. Lots of highs, lots of lows. I've seen them win the cup. I've seen them get relegated and everything else. And so I missed football when I came south. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, where we were living, and it was like Notts Forest, maybe, that kind of thing. It's not that far away.
You've had some involvement with Spalding United, haven't you, at some point?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, carry on.
Yeah. And so I thought, Notts Forest, yeah, I'll go and watch Peterborough. So I went for a couple of years and just I'd got the odd game and started to follow them. And it was just around that time where he bought the football club.
Okay.
And so, whilst it's not always been plain sailing, in the main, the Darragh years, as he likes to refer to them, have always been pretty exciting. So the football was always worth watching. And my brother used to get really jealous because the one thing St Mirren were always very known for was having a bit of a rigid defence. So he'd say, how did they go on today? Oh, they won 1-0. All right. How did Peterborough go on? Yeah, we won 5-3.
5-3, yeah.
And it's like, for fuck's sake. He said, you've scored more goals in one game than we have in the last 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, he was always very jealous. So I enjoyed the football. And then through business and one thing or another, I'd started to become a bit of a sponsor to the club and one thing or another. And so I kind of got an email one day. It was like, how come I've never met you? Because I was putting a bit of money in, and the company we had in Peterborough was growing and growing. He said, how come we've never met? He said, I own the football club. You're one of the key sponsors. We need to have a coffee. And we generally never look back. You meet people in your life from time to time where you walk into a room and the two of you just...
Yeah.
It was very much like that. We have very much the same philosophy in pretty much everything. He swears a little bit more than I do, but apart from that, our beliefs are pretty much identical. Our business ethics and the way we do business are very similar. We're different in the way we do business, but just everything it just clicked, and we just got to know each other. So it went from the coffee to another coffee, and we grabbed some dinner one night, and then it just kind of snowballed from there, and we started.
So do you and Darragh like sit in your speedos in one of your pools in Florida at times, just chatting?
There's no speedos involved ever. Never in speedos involved. He could no. I don't think that our friendship would never be the same
Probably
again.
not a vision you needed, that is it? But it's one that some of us.
Hang on, I need to get that vision in my head now. But he and I will regularly sit and just we will talk business. I've not been back to the US for a little while because I've been so busy elsewhere. But when I was there, like a lot, we just sit around his gaff and just talk business, not necessarily by the pool, but outside and just chatting away. So we started a business and it did okay, and then we just moved on from there. So we actually looked at a few different things. We got lucky a little bit that we were in the process of starting to put together a clothing or a fashion brand, and we hit a few hurdles just getting the right people and everything else. And then we were really lucky because there was a crash in terms of stocks and money, so that kiboshed it. Okay. And then we reignited it, and then COVID came. So actually, we were quite lucky because trying to launch a fashion business in COVID would have been a bit of a drama. But so we've had various business interests. We had the electric scooter business, which we did together. It's ticking away. And then we obviously own a sportswear firm. And then...
Is that Motique?
Yeah, Motique. We've got a real estate business in the US. We've got a construction business in the UK. We've got construction and kind of labour business in Dubai. And so there's lots of...
Those businesses, are they as in you two own them, or you are two of the people amongst the group?
No, we own them.
Oh, okay.
So we have companies that we share 50-50. I own 50%, he owns 50%, and that business owns the individual businesses.
You're friends, aren't you? So
very. I said to you that I love my brother. I would say that if I ever needed anything, and it's not to do with finance, if I ever needed anything or needed somebody to come and help me, I'd ring Darragh before I ring my brother. Him and I we're incredibly close. He is the brother up from another mother.
That's really nice to hear, actually. Have you ever sort of feared with going into business with friends? Or do you have things legally drawn up so that would never be a problem? I mean, you're not neither stupid, you're about to do that. But do you know, it's
I think our relationship is such that the respect and trust that we have for each other.
Yeah.
It's never been a question. Yes, we've gone into some businesses previously where we've had a third party involved.
Yeah.
And that's never been easy because if the third party's not, I suppose, singing to our hymn sheet or viewing things the way we do.
Because you two are almost a one, aren't you? Because
Yeah.
the way you're so similar, I suppose. They're always going to feel quite...
There has never been an instance, in all the years him and I have done anything, there's only been one instance where we had a crossword and we dealt with it there and then. We disagreed on something, we then agreed to disagree on it, we parked it and we moved on. But genuinely, him and I don't disagree on anything. We communicate constantly, and because of that, I've never been worried about being in business with him in any way, shape or form, because I know that if something's not right on either side, we just vocalise it, we just tell them. And so it's never been a problem. Touch wood, I can't see it ever being so either.
What's, as a posh fan, which you are to, yeah, as much as I keep, I've only been a fan 5 minutes, so I'm told regularly. What's your favourite memory?
MK Dons.
As a fan.
MK Dons in the playoffs was very, very high up there. And then obviously seeing them win at Wembley against Chesterfield when I was a fan. I was nowhere near the Royal Box at that point. I was behind the goal. That was a highlight. But genuinely, after what we've been through this year and the season we've had, beating Birmingham this year was in the inner sanctum, having been there on the Tuesday night and watched how we played against them in the league. I walked away from that game thinking, we have a real chance on Sunday. We have a real chance. I know that 99% of the fan base probably didn't think that was going to be the case.
I don't think that's the case. I think, all the people that I know as well, I think we all knew we could do it.
Yeah.
We all knew we had a chance, and we all knew we were being underestimated.
Massively.
But it depends on which team that came out. I think
Correct.
that's how we kind of felt. And same with Birmingham as well.
Exactly.
Which team of theirs came out.
They underperformed a little bit on the day.
I agree.
But I also think their underperformance came from the way we played. I think we put them under so much pressure, and the way we dominated them territorially for a lot of that first half, and we forced them back. They were almost a bit like rabbit in the headlights. Well, what the fuck's going on here? Because it hasn't really happened to them this season, where a team's gone at them like that.
Apart from us at their place for 20 minutes.
Correct. And so that first 45 minutes,
23 or whatever it was.
the first half at Wembley that afternoon was we were 2 up. I felt we could have been 3. We should have scored again in the second half. Yes, they probably should have got one as well, but it was probably, regardless of being a director and a part owner or whatever, just as a pure Peterborough fan, that was probably the most enjoyable game of football that I've been part of. It massively outdid the year before, because the year before the expectation was different. And whilst we all felt we had a real chance we could do it against Birmingham, the year before we expected to beat Wickham.
Yeah. And there's something, when you win like a last minute goal, Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
But you also only have that feeling for quite a short amount of time.
Correct.
I felt like we had like we were able to enjoy the whole of that Birmingham game because we were so on top, as opposed to thinking, shit, all that, which I feel like most of the time following Posh, come to 70 minutes, I start to shit myself, no matter what the scoreline.
Totally. I mean, Harrison's goal was just unbelievable. And then I think somebody once put it to the Titanic music, and I watched that and I'm like, the goosebumps. I'm almost crying watching it, and it's like, Jesus. But you're right in what you say. That was complete euphoria for 5-10 minutes, because so soon after the goal, the full-time whistle went. So then that overtook actually the fact that he'd scored that goal.
Yeah.
This was different. I remember sitting there, and I turned to my wife when Kwame and Harley were arguing with the free kick, and Dee was sat in the row in front of me, and I said to him, I said, he's got to let Harley take it, because we'd seen Harley for the 21s do it, and he'd scored a couple of peachy goals with his left foot in the earlier qualifying rounds as well.
Yeah.
And he's got to let Harley take it. He's got to let Harley take it. And at one point, it looked as if Kwame was going to take it, and he'd won the argument. And then when Harley stood up to take it, I turned to my wife and said, if this doesn't go in, the keeper's about to pull off a worldie. Because I knew he was going to hit the target. And then when it went in, it was like, there was that split second where you were like, fuck, he scored. And then you're up off your chair and cheering. And the second goal was a beautifully worked goal, actually. It was a hell of a good finish by Hector. And then we were so comfortable. I expected them to royally come at us in the second half, and they shove 3 strikers on and just go at it. And I thought we'd pick him off with Ricky's pace behind and Kwame and stuff, and we'll pick him off. But they didn't really. It was they were subdued. I don't think they knew what had hit them in the first half. They couldn't recover, and we almost strolled a little bit in the second half to winning it.
They'd also already won the league, hadn't they? So they're already...
That helped us, Jenny. There's no question. The fact that they'd got promoted against us on the Tuesday, then won the league on the Wednesday. I'm sure there
What a week.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I'm sure that probably played a part. And had that not happened, that day might have been very different. But with the season we'd had, to do what we did, that for me was probably the highlight of my Peterborough supporting you.
Most famous person on your phone, do you reckon? Like most followers on social. Don't pick someone I'm not going to know.
So Darragh would want me to say him probably. But,
yeah, 100%.
It's probably
Darragh,
not.
then.
It's probably either.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ivan then, because I thought, that's a shout. You must have Ivan on there.
Actually, I don't. No, I've got a few footballs on there, but Ivan's not one of them, in fairness.
It doesn't exist anymore anyway, because he's in the country.
Exactly. I don't know who he is.
Who?
He's dead, exactly.
Dead today.
Probably it's either Ali McCoist.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Or...
Oh, what a heartthrob he was. Not saying he isn't now.
No.
In his day.
Yes, indeed. Even he was a bit of a Scottish legend football-wise.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's it. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, hot. I mean, I'll bow to your superior knowledge. And then the other one is they will probably have the most social media following, but it's unlikely that you will know who that it's basically a sheikh who is very high up in the UAE and has something like 3 or 4 million followers.
And how do you know them?
Just through business.
Oh, okay.
Just through business. We've built a reasonably good what would be the word? Relationship with some of the heads of the Emirates, because the UAE, Dubai is just part of one emirate. There's several, as I'm sure you know. So because of one of the business we have over there, and it's involved in construction and the supply of labour, that we've got to know a couple more over the years. So yeah, this guy, the one who's
not going to get very far with that, knowing people in the know over there, are you, I suppose?
No,
anywhere.
Exactly that. It's just generally in life. It's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in the saying. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Right time, right place, and all that kind of thing.
Do you believe in that, destiny, fate, and all of that?
Yeah. Absolutely. And you can ask anybody that knows me, from Darragh to people I knew growing up, to my family. I'm not religious, Jenny, at all.
Okay.
At all. Do I believe there was something? Probably. Do I care? Not really. But the one thing I've always been a firm believer is that from the day that I popped out, my path and my story is already written. I don't know what it is yet, and I learn it every single day, but wherever I end up and wherever I go and whatever happens to me in life, it's already predetermined. When on the 3rd of February 1975, when I arrived, my path was already written. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in destiny, and that you meet people in life for a reason. People's paths cross for a reason. There was a reason why I didn't meet Darragh when I was 20, and I didn't meet him until I was in my 30s and stuff like that. So I am a believer in that. So yeah, I do believe in destiny, and I do believe in fate.
Just go backwards a little bit. What's the involvement with Spalding United then?
So
are they Tulips? Is that what they call themselves?
the Tulips,
Obviously.
yeah. So Spalding were in a mess financially, and there was a guy who was the chairman at the time, a guy called Andy, put out this post on social media, and it was a proper cry for help. The team was struggling. They couldn't pay the players. They were getting like 120 people through the gates and all this kind of stuff. So I said to myself, I'll meet you for a coffee. I wasn't really interested in owning Spalding United or being involved in it per se, but as it was, I don't live in Spalding, I live in a village close to it, but because it was kind of the local football team for me, I said to him, look, if I can help you, I will do. So I sat and had a coffee with him, and it became very obvious that there was some very basic fundamental things they weren't doing right. So I helped them change a few things. I did put some money into the club. We're not talking hundreds of thousands here. It was a few grand just to help them get over a few hurdles they had. But I was still going to watch Peterborough. I wasn't going to watch Spalding. So it was kind of like,
It's a bit hypocritical in many ways.
yeah, there's no point
I'm trying to help you, but not with me
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
present
And that was it. And
presents.
then they started to get a bit, not reticent to it, but they were a bit like, well, you're on, and I joined the board. So I agreed to join the board. So I became a board member and director of Spalding United. And they were like, well, you don't go to any games. No, I told you from the outset. I go and sit because of my relationship with Darragh and everything, and I was buying, and through the sponsorship with the club, I already had a seat in the director's box. It was just a few rows back from where I sit now.
Okay.
And I said,
Is that how that works in there? Is that in the
yeah,
director's
so
box?
the back the back row generally is scouts and officials from other clubs and stuff.
Or
and then,
sponsors that have found their way in there.
correct. Yeah.
Manage that.
And the next couple of rows is people who pay for the privilege, or as you say, match day sponsors if it's a particularly big one. I don't know. They let all sorts in there. So they get in there, and then the front row is.
My friend went, I'm going to go get Darragh's autograph. Like, don't do it in here. Don't do it in the director's box. But she went, I'm going, because she absolutely adores him. So I
Right.
I'm going. I'm like, oh, God, the shame. But she went, got a lovely photo, and she loves this photo that she's got of him.
Really?
Yeah, she loves Darragh and Darragh, and she adores
He's good
both of
that
them.
way. Is Darragh? He'll always pose for a photo most of the time.
I'm glad she did it when she did, because it was the Good Friday game last year. Was it Exeter or Carlisle? One of them near the end, and it couldn't be because it was Easter. So it was the Monday.
Carlisle, wasn't it?
And it was...
We screwed it up.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, it was Carlisle.
And man of the match was given to Harrison.
Yeah.
And I ended up saying to him something. I said something. He's like, I'd done some filming with him, like recent to it, like a few weeks before, so he knew me.
Yeah.
And he like said to me, like, Jenny, not today. I didn't realise what. I'd obviously said something like, I don't know, didn't turn up.
Yeah.
Oh, good day to get man of the match or
Yeah.
something. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
There you go.
Yeah, the board. Spalding, yeah.
Yeah, so they asked me to join the board, and then they started to get, and not get grief, but
Oh,
they're
yeah,
a bit
like
like,
the director said.
you never ever come to the games. No, I don't, and I told you from the outset, I'll
Yeah.
help you, but I go to watch Peterborough. I have done for the last 12 years, 15 years, whatever it is. I said, that's always going to be the case. I said, and with all due respect, I'm going to get far more enjoyment out of watching Peterborough than I am watching Spalding United versus Bedford.
Herein
or
lies the
whichever.
problem of why Spalding haven't got the following, I guess.
Correct. But then, out of the blue, Lee Porter,
Oh, from Yours Clothing.
yeah, messaged me. Now, Lee's obviously been he worked for Peterborough years ago, and then he left to go and work for Your Clothing.
Oh, I didn't know that link, but okay.
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
he basically did what Alex got his job. So he did Alex's job years and years
really?
ago. Yeah, so Lee was Alex when Dee first bought the football club.
Well, bloody hell.
And then Andrew Killingsworth obviously was pushing Yours Clothing, offered Lee the position. Lee went,
Yeah.
done an amazing job. Him and Andrew have grown that business phenomenally well. And I've had a lot of success and very well done to them both. But Lee's always been involved in football somewhere or other, playing at DP and stuff like that. And he wanted to get involved in football locally. So he just messaged me. He said, you don't know anyway, because he tried to get into Peterborough Sports, I think, and they couldn't agree a deal. We'd looked at Kettering and they couldn't agree a deal. I said, well, it'd be quite a low base to work from. I said, but if you and Andrew want a bit of a challenge, I said, speak to Spalding United. I said, because financially they need all help they can get.
Yeah.
I said, but it has the facilities, it has the infrastructure, basic infrastructure in place. I said, with your guys' knowledge and contacts and everything else, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
So we did, and they bought it lock, stock and barrel off me and the other directors. And I didn't take any money, I just, yeah, you can have my shares. And they're doing really well. They've had one promotion. They finished just outside the playoffs this year, literally one place outside the playoff spots. They've just invested £1 million in a state-of-the-art pitch, which is going in. They've just had agreement from the council. They can do work to the stadium. So they've done a really good job in Spalding.
Stadium is by the bus station, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally opposite. Yeah, literally opposite.
Yeah.
And it's not beyond the realms that if they achieve what they plan or set out to achieve this year, they'll be in the same league as Peterborough Sports next year.
What I thought.
Yeah, and then if they get into the National League South, I would say with the financial backing that Andrew can probably give them, they might kick on again. Good luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you class yourself now as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, nowadays, entrepreneur, investor. Yeah.
So I was going to ask that, because what's the difference between an entrepreneur and an investor? Or does it depend who your audience is? Because that's my ignorance.
I actually have to say, what I'm about to say might be complete bollocks, but my view on it is that, and I could use my brother, I suppose, as an example. So my brother saves up X amount of money.
Yeah.
It's sat in his bank account and it's earning him about £3.50 a year. Do you know what I mean? Because the interest rates are absolutely crap. So he wants to do something to make his money earning money. So he might take that and invest it into a property company, for example. So he might have managed to save over the years through everything he's done. He might have saved, let's say he saved himself 50 grand. So he'll stick that 50 grand into a property company, but he'll not be involved in the day-to-day running of it. He'll just put the money in, and these guys will say to him, right, we'll use that to buy a property, and then you'll get X% of the rental back, and da-da-da-da-da. He's an investor, but he's not an entrepreneur at that point, because he's investing his money in to get a return, which a lot of people tell you that's what entrepreneurs do. But in my mind, the main difference is an entrepreneur will take, in a lot of cases, an active involvement in the business, not necessarily day to day, because I'm not involved in any of the businesses that either I have individually or DI have together on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
But I'm always there. So I can always answer emails, I can always be involved, I can be involved in top level decisions and so on and so forth.
I can pull on you for experience, advice and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can give them that. And I feel that's kind of what an entrepreneur does. An entrepreneur will also go and seek out opportunities and look for investments, whereas a core investor like my brother will just, because of the way he is, will go for a pretty safe option. He'll put his money in there, he'll just invest it and then he'll leave it.
It's like putting a check in and take one out.
Exactly that. So he'll put his money in, he'll hopefully get a couple £100 every month or £300 every month out of the investment, and then whenever he gets to the point where he says, I'm done now, I'll take the money back, then they will sell that property and he will get his 50 grand back, plus whatever he's made over however many years he's done it, and so on. So he's an investor, he's made a return on his investment. An entrepreneur would have probably not invested in that. They would have gone and sought an investment opportunity or a business opportunity and put money into it and overseen the growth of it and pushed it forward. And I think that, to me, that's the difference.
More risk to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would say so. And as I say, I think investors, you can still be an investor and be risk averse. You can just go really safe.
Yeah.
You might not make as much, but there are investments out there you can put money into that you might make 2, 3, 4% on your money. It's fairly secure and so on. An entrepreneur has to be a bit more willing to take risks, because not everything works. There've been businesses that have done well, businesses that have not done so well. But even the most successful people, the Warren Buffets, the Jeff Bezos, all these kind of guys, yeah, they've had some massive wins. They wouldn't be where they are in terms of financially. Elon Musk, they wouldn't be where they are financially if they hadn't had lots of wins. But for every win, they probably had one or two that hasn't worked out either. But they've had the balls to take the risk.
On that note, what would you say what failings have you, not failings, wrong word, what have you come up across that's been a big hurdle for you or that you've stumbled at? Because I'm sure it hasn't been plain sailing.
No, so there's always, on every business, the early years are always tough. The hardest things about any business, no matter the size, and it's slightly different, I guess, when you progress in your business life, and if you are investing into or you're taking on companies that are already a bit more established and a bit bigger. But in our early kind of, I suppose, investment life, if you like, you're going into businesses that are either new or not doing so well, so you can perhaps grab them by the scruff of the neck and flip them.
Yeah.
That requires cash flow management beyond belief because they're struggling for a reason, which means they don't have much money.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you can just continue to write check after check after check to put into the business to push it forward. And before you know it, you think, oh shit, we're 6 figures deep here now.
Got to take the emotion out, I suppose, haven't you? And that's
Exactly. And that would be the other thing that Darragh and I are both very good at taking the emotion out of it. But you probably wouldn't think it, especially of him, because I mean, he's much more in the public domain and well known than I am. But if anything on occasion, we're too soft. There have been businesses that we've been involved in whereby the potential's massive, and we've crunched the numbers and we looked at it and we thought, well, if we invest this, we can see that we can do this, 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 and this. That should then bring this return. We can reinvest that into that, and then the thing should just pop.
Yeah.
And we've been there for 3 or 4 months and it hasn't happened yet. And it's like, well, what the fuck's going on here? And generally overseas investments, because you can't keep on top of them the same way. And then we sit down and think about it, it's because we're not being harsh enough. We're not being hard enough on people. We've just let people, can you send this, this information and I need it by Wednesday because I need to, and it gets to Thursday and Friday and we've still not got it. It'll be the following Wednesday before him and I'll chase.
You should be almost threatening to pull it.
Correct.
On the Thursday.
And it should be, what we should do is Thursday morning, we'd be like, where's this information? We requested it by last night. You need to understand, we're the bosses and the owners. You need to help us out here. If we request information, you need to provide it. And I suppose it's a good trait to have in some respects, to not be an asshole, but other times you just need to be an asshole. Yeah. And I think probably we're both a little bit guilty in business of perhaps not being big enough assholes from time to time.
Not harsh enough.
Yeah. Not hard enough.
Do you think people would be surprised to hear that?
Of him, yeah. Because I think there is a kind of public opinion of him that because he's brash, he's loud, and he says what he thinks, that people would say that he'll, and also too because he went through a phase, didn't he, in between the Darren years, he was very trigger happy, wasn't he, in terms of manager. So he'd come in, I mean, even like big Stevie Evans, we were sitting basically just on the verge of the playoff. We'd drawn 0-0 with Charlton, and he's come in and he's fired him.
At the
and he didn't, and he's fired him just because. Well, we should be better than something. I don't like the football I'm watching, so you're fired.
We walked back from the game, me and my friend, and we walked back and we walked down Broadway, and Darragh was outside on his phone.
Was he?
And we're like, outside Bombay Brasserie, and we're like, I bet he's just fired Steve. I bet Steve-O's gone. I bet he's gone. And it literally then came out very shortly after that. We're like, oh my God, we might have just been witnessing it.
Yeah, you might well.
As we're both walking down the road with our posh shirts on, thinking we look like a pair of dickheads.
So I think he has this public persona, but Darragh's actually, he's one of those people that if you need his help or if you need him in any way, he'll be there for you and he'll help you. Cross him, he'll never fucking help you again, and if anything, he'll make your life a living hell. But he's a bit, we both are a bit, I suppose, kind of soft and gentle giants in that respect. But I've always maintained that philosophy as well. So the one company where I've had probably the most success to date, we started off with me, my wife, and a lad and a telephone. And I said to him, look, here's a database, fire on. And we just grew that business. But I grew that by creating a family atmosphere. And we used to have company days out and everything else, and the standing joke was, oh, we're going out with mum and dad, because it was kind of, people just viewed upon it all as a family, and as you get bigger you lose that a little bit,
don't you?
because you have to.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to make sure that people could approach me about anything and be the old open door thing, and in the UK that kind of works to a degree. Yes, sometimes you have to crack a whip, but in the UK, but it's some of our overseas investments, it's been a bit harder because we're not there constantly. That I don't even think it's intentionally taking the piss, but they just do it because they can. And I think in the UK it's treated very, very differently.
Do you think, though, that's a bit of a human trait, isn't it? Let's be honest. Every single person will push everything to the boundary as much as they can. We all do it.
When the cat's away, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's human nature. It's no different to normal life. I mean, what my older kids would say, if I was ever, me and my wife were ever away when they were 16, 17, they'd behave very fucking differently than we'd do if we were in the room.
Yeah.
So it's like, thankfully I never had any trashed houses per se, but I mean, there was a few times where it wasn't as tidy as when we left it. So that's just behaviour that wouldn't have happened had we been in the house. So it is human nature. When the bosses or the parents or that aren't there, then you do tend to kind of just...
Does sensible businessman Iain have a feral side?
It comes out occasionally. I think you have to, and I'm a firm believer in this, that whilst you can be sensible and level-headed and keep it, you're not screwed in business because you have to.
Yeah.
There has to be a release of some description.
Yeah,
And I think any human, whether you're in a high-pressure environment running businesses, or the high pressure of working in medicine or sales because you've got target date or whatever, I think there has to be a point where you just go, and everything just kind of floods out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen often, but there are occasions, and it can take various forms. It can be football related. I mean, there is a level of decorum you should keep in the director's box. It's probably not kept to the same level as it was 2 or 3 seasons ago before I started sitting in the front row. But it can be football related. It can be, shall we say, social activities, drinking or whatever. So there has to be, every human, I think, has to have some form of release, because if you don't and you just keep the pressure building up, it's just going to drag you down at some point. So I think if you don't have that feral instinct and the feral release, then I don't think I'd be, without sounding arrogant, I don't think I'd be as good at what I do as I am.
What do you think are your best skills? What are you good at? Don't say golf.
I'm not very good at that anymore.
Are you good at people management?
Yeah, I would say that was probably one of my biggest strengths. Somebody once asked me, how have you achieved what you've achieved? And I think what I achieved in life and particularly in business, there's 3 things. Fucking hard work. The ability to employ and find really good people. Exactly that. And if you take COVID, for example, now it's a bit of a touchy subject, COVID, because of what happened, but one of the businesses we have was is a... Oh,
was this gloves?
Yeah.
Aurelia gloves?
Yeah. So it's Aurelia, so it's medical consumable products. Where's
that name come from?
So the Aurelia, the Aurelia is the youngest daughter of the Malaysian fella who owns the factory that we buy the gloves through.
Oh, okay.
Because we couldn't come up with a brand name. And he said, well, we thought about Aurelia, and Aurelia, perfect. Bang. Does.
Yeah, go on, sorry, back to that.
So we were well established. We were the largest supplier into the NHS. Business was turning over 35, 40 million quid. It was growing nicely. It was doing really well.
That's significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't. We were a big business.
Yeah.
Medium-sized business. But COVID comes along, and all of a sudden the demand for the product that we were already supplying, so we weren't. And this is the thing I think that I have fought over the years to try and, since COVID, to make people see and understand, is that I wasn't a travel agent who suddenly thought I could supply swabs. I wasn't an accountant who suddenly thought I could do kind of like face masks and this kind of stuff.
You didn't create a brand or something to make money out of all of this.
There was no VIP
disaster.
lanes or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
Through the COVID process, the Department of Health were ringing me. Matt Hancock, they were ringing, you need to help us out here. We've got a massive problem incoming, etc., etc. So, and we did. We emptied our warehouses of every product we had and gave it to the NHS. Well, didn't give it to them, but we sold it to the NHS.
No. Yeah.
And we never made a penny more. We never made a percentage point more in margin off them throughout the whole thing than we did at the beginning.
So you didn't kind of like raise your prices just because of COVID?
The prices went up, but only because I couldn't buy it at the price I used to.
So your margin didn't go up?
Yeah, so my margin percentage never increased. But because we agreed, we had a set fixed margin with them that we continued to sell it to them at. But because the price of the product went from literally here to here, the margin in terms of pounds and pence went from here to here, but the percentage stayed like that.
So it's not as if you actively
that's the
profited out
luck
of
I'm
loss.
talking about. So yes, you make your own luck, and as opposed to go back to what you said, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. We wouldn't have achieved any of that were we not already in that industry, and were we not already recognised as the number one brand into the NHS and like in the top 2 brands in the whole of
Europe. Yeah, it was already in the door, wasn't it? You're not still trying to ban.
We never contacted them. They contacted us. Literally. And I remember sitting in my office and the phone call coming through and the guy saying, we need to speak to you, but this needs to be done extremely confidentially at this stage, etc., etc., etc. And you're like, okay, well, whatever. Because I'd been, you think it was my second home house, but I'd been in Dubai in the February and there was a few murmurings. I was in Dubai, as was Darragh. I was on holiday with my wife, he was on holiday with his, and we just happened to be there at the same time. And I remember one night, we got very drunk, but we were talking about the fact that there was murmurings out of China about an issue. And he said, they've shut China down. He said, imagine if that spreads to the rest of the world, fucking the carnage it's going to create. Sure enough.
Yeah.
So I'd been there in February, and it was very early March, and I got this phone call, and he said, we need you to help us. We need to stockpile because we've a feeling that we're about to suffer something unlike we've ever had before. And we were like, okay, well, I can give you this product that you've already taken, etc. He said, no, Ian, you don't understand. He said, how many gloves have you got in your warehouse? I was like, sorry. I said, but you don't ever buy, generally disposable gloves come in 3 types. They come in nitrile, latex, and PVC vinyl. They generally don't hardly ever take any vinyl product. They take a little bit of latex, but not a lot because there's allergy issues. What they take mostly is nitrile.
Are the other 2 for different industries?
To be honest, all 3 can be used across every industry.
Right, okay.
This was very much an NHS thing that they tried to avoid latex because of the allergies. And PVC just wasn't as strong and it didn't fit as well. So if your surgeon or your doctor was examining you, they wanted to wear nitrile because it was
Are they similar to the blue ones that police have?
Yeah. The blue ones the police have will be nitrile, I would say. Okay. So I said to him, well, yeah, I'll give you the nitrile, every box of nitrile that you always take, the same brand, thickness and everything, I'll give it. He's like, no, we want everything. I said, well, you don't buy vinyl, don't you? He says that we don't give a shit. It doesn't matter what size it is, what colour it is, what it's made from. If it's a disposable glove, we want to buy it from you. So I was like, right, you're going to need to give me an hour here. I said, because I need to go and make some phone calls. I said, it may be my company. I said, but I need to speak to other people. I said, I can't just sell everything we have and then have a team of 12 sales guys going, well, what the fuck am I supposed to sell now, boss? So I said, so I need to go and speak to the sales director and just have conversations with it as a company. So over the next hour, I did that. I rang everybody. And to be fair to a man and a woman, they all said, yeah, fucking give it to him. So we literally did. They then sent trucks in and our warehouse guys were just forklifting pallets onto the back of the trucks for about 2.5 days it took to empty the warehouse.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real, does it?
And they took everything. So I thought, okay, it's going to take us a bit of a while to build this stock back up, but because the price had to be what the price was and everything else, there was a bit of money, but enough money in the bank anyway. We didn't need sales for a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months. We could keep paying people. There was no issues, whatever. So this was on a Wednesday, I think. So Thursday, Friday and Saturday morning, they filled these trucks up. I got back into work on the Monday. And then the directive had come through that we had to start making sure people were working from home and not coming in and calming travel down and everything else. So we decided who was working where and who was staying, and then I was keeping core people in, but obviously
I
socially
suppose they're key
distanced.
workers, aren't they, for what you're
Exactly,
providing?
and we were, and we got a letter from the government signed by Boris that basically said that we were allowed to travel because we were key workers. And I remember standing, we were in the big yard. So the yard that we have it's almost it's a courtyard effect. So we had warehouses down either side of warehouse and offices down either side, and then we had a big main office at the end, and then this was all like a courtyard. And I remember standing at the bottom of it, and everybody had to come out because we had to socially distance. I had to go before everybody came out. I had to put things down on the floor where everybody was supposed to stand.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember saying to everyone, "This is a very hard thing for me to have to say to you all, but go home. You've all to go home, and I don't know when you're coming back." And they were all a bit,
What? Yeah.
I said, "Go home." I said, "Those that I need to either come in when required or need to be available, I will make you know who you are. The rest of you, go home. You're all going to get paid. You're all going to get full pay. There's no issues. Go home." So I did that, and that was a little bit emotional for me actually, because we'd built this company up for so long, and all these people had worked really hard for me, and everybody's ever worked for us generally has given us their all, and then I sent all these people home, not telling them when they could ever come back. So I got back, and I went back to the office and said, "Right, I'm going home too. We'll shut for the day now." And my phone rang. And it was the same guys from the government. And at first I was like, "Fuck, there's been a problem with the delivery or something."
Yeah.
And they're going to say, "Oh, actually,
They've sent them all back.
Yeah, we don't need the vinyl."
Yeah.
You know what I
Sorry,
mean?
wrong
It was like,
ones.
yeah.
We said that.
And I was like,
Said you didn't want PVC.
"You're all right? Well, everything okay? You got the deliveries all right?" He said, "Yeah, they've all arrived. They're all in. They're all done. They've all been shifted off to various places." He said, "But we need more." "I don't have any more." He said, "No, I don't mean now." He said, "I need your manufacturing capacity." And I was like,
Bloody hell.
"But that's what I'm using to replenish." He said, "Ian, it doesn't matter." He said, "And it doesn't matter how much it costs." So I went to the factory guys and said, "Right, you need
In
to..."
Malaysia?
Yeah.
Who I suppose are not just providing you, are they? They're supplying all over the world, right?
Well, that's it. He had already done a supply agreement with the Canadian government and the Australian government before I'd even got in the door. If it wasn't for my relationship with them and the fact that we'd given them so much business over the years, that he kept 2 or 3 production lines available for me, then we'd have been screwed. But I went to him and said, "Look, the UK government told me they need this and they need this, and this is when they need it for." And he was like, you can hear him ticking away. He's like, "Yeah, okay." He said, "To hit those targets, we need to go down." And I said, "What all out?" He said, "That's fine." He said, "But the Canadian government's paying me this, and the Australian government's paying me this." He said, "And I know the German government will pay me this, and da-da-da-da." He said, "So they're going to need to match these prices."
Yeah.
I said, "That's fine." I said, "I wholly disagree with the price. To me, it's fucking robbing. But anyway,
Yeah.
I will then take it to them. They can make the choice. If they don't want to pay the price, then
that's
I've done
fair.
what I can." And as soon as I said to him, he said, "Yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit what the price is. We just need to place the order." He then placed an order that amounted to 2.5 billion gloves.
Which is how much? Give or take.
425 million pounds.
Fucking hell.
Give
It's not
or
even a
take.
real number.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And I remember he said to me, he said, "We're going to take whatever you can do for us. I'm going to place the orders now." I was like, "Okay." And I was expecting, because of the panic, I'm expecting, we might double our turnover this year just in this one order type thing.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
So then the first one comes,
One positive.
the order comes through, and it's about 46 million, and I'm like, great. I'm not happy that we're getting it because of the reasons we're getting it, but actually, do you know what? This will set this business up now perfectly. Not that there was any financial dramas, but it was then I can start a lot of these millions in the bank. The business will kick on. over
Somebody
the
was
years.
providing them. Why can it not be you?
Yeah, and that was the attitude I took. I always
have
felt
to.
a little bit funny about it, but it was actually
Yeah, profiting out of something that's got so much misery, but at the end of the day,
But because I hadn't been, as I say, a fucking travel agent who jumped on a bandwagon, it was like, okay.
Storing toilet rolls.
Exactly. But then another one came through, and then another one came through, and then another one came through, and then another one. And by the time it came through, we'd had 10 of these things, and it had gone from like 46 million to this 400 odd million.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay. No, I need to take a bit of control now. So ordinarily, when orders come in, I would have left. If they'd come to me, because I still had a few customers that I dealt with directly, even though I was kind of CEO, MD, whatever.
You always get that, don't you?
I would just pass them all to the sales director and let him deal with it, and then he'd divvy it out. And then we had a team of girls who would process all the orders. I said, I can't. I have to do this. So I took him home with me. And I remember sitting in my kitchen.
Trying to work out how to log on.
You joke, right? So I managed to get into the system. I'm looking at it thinking, right, I was a little bit lucky because we built from the bottom up. We'd used the same system all the way through. We just upgraded it as we grew.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew how to put the thing on. And I was having work done. I had an office, but I was having work done in my office at the time. So my office at home wasn't even available. But I couldn't really tell people that because you weren't supposed to have, construction actually got away with it through COVID. They got to carry on working, but you weren't actually meant to have people in your house working. But it already started, so I was like, I won't say anything if you don't, boys. Just fucking get it finished. And so I'm sat in the kitchen, on a stool in the kitchen. I've got my laptop in front of me. And I thought, right, we need to get these on, because if I don't get these orders onto the system, I can't then generate the POs to give the factory. And if I don't get them in by this time, the factory will not be able to produce the stuff in time. There was a 2-week period in it. So we went into lockdown on March the 23rd. There was a 2-week period from around the 30th, 31st of March until about the 2nd or 3rd week of April, where I slept for probably 90 minutes a day.
Oh, God.
Because I was dealing with Malaysia in their time zone, so like 7 or 8 hours that way. I was dealing with the US in their time zone, so 5 or 6 hours this way, whilst trying to keep everything running in the UK. Yeah. It was just mental. And at the same time trying to make sure I took control, so it was my responsibility to make sure everything got done correctly. Because if I'd given a £50 million order to an admin girl to sort and she'd fucked up, there'd been all hell to pay. If something goes wrong, it's on me, that's fine. So that 2 and a bit weeks, it damn near killed me. It changed the landscape of the business forever. Not me personally, because actually I didn't take a hell of a lot out of it. I've left all that in the business. But it damn near killed me. So when we came out of the other end of it, I decided that was enough. I was taking a step back. But because the company had got so much money in, the guy who was a sales director, I'd been building him up and training him up, and he was always going to step into my shoes when the time was right. It just happened a lot earlier than probably we'd anticipated. And I decided that I was done with that. My wife, she was the ops director of the company at the time. She said, well, if you're stepping back, me too. She said, I don't want to kind of do it without you, etc. I am still the chairman of that company. I'm still involved. We're building a new premises opposite IKEA.
Oh, okay.
On the Parkway. We've just commenced work. It took us a long while to get the planning. That's a whole different story. But we got there and we've commenced working there. So I'm still chairman of the business. I'm still involved in it, and I get involved in acquisitions and big projects like the build. I don't get involved in the day-to-day. I leave that to the team to run. But she exited completely. And I'd actually planned, because we did all right financially out of it too, but not, you talk 425 million, that's turnover, not profit. And then the profit, it wasn't as if it was all coming to me, unfortunately. It wasn't as if it was a one-man band making that money. A lot of my team did well out of it, and the rest got kept in the company. But because we'd done all right financially, I was like, I'm going to retire. So I'm going to retire at 40, 45, 46. I'd always said that I would work my bollocks off and retire before I was 50. So I thought, well, fucking fair play. And you've done it at 45, you're retired. So I retired for 3 weeks. Literally 3 weeks.
3 weeks. And then
literally
you're like,
3
what
weeks.
the fuck am I going to do with my time?
Exactly that. I'm like, yeah, I'm bored now. I generally thought, I play a lot more golf.
That didn't happen.
No, I'd probably go on a few more holidays, but then I think, well, fuck, I can't really go on that many more because they've got to do them around school anyway. And I was just like, right, yeah, I'm bored now. I've had enough, right? So I've been off for 3. I think it was probably, I might have made it to week 4, and I was like, right, I need to do something. So then Dave and I just talked a bit more about investment opportunities and things that he was working on. And
is that when things like that really kicked off?
Yeah, probably that really kicked off, because we'd done a few bits and dabbled in a few bits prior to that, but they were only dabbling because he was very much running the football club and business in the US, and I was very heavily involved in the other business that I had. So the other things were they weren't quite side hustles, but they were very much little just dabbles. Because I had taken a step back from everything else, and it's still very much the way now. A lot of the businesses we run, I would be the one of the two of us that runs them. He's involved, and the one we have in Dubai is very much 50-50, so we're both equally involved in that in terms of...
Is that why you're over there a lot at the moment?
Yeah, stamping on people, getting them to do jobs and everything else. But like Motique, for example, because I live 30 minutes away, I go to Motique regularly.
Oh, are they based local?
Yeah, they're in Peterborough.
Oh, they are? I should know that. I should know that.
You should know that.
Sorry, Motique.
Yes. But of course he's in the US, so he's not there very often. So I keep him updated in bits and pieces, but he's not involved in the day-to-day.
Is Bob involved with Motique as well?
Yes, Bob's... He's
one of my favourite people, Bob Sims.
Ambassadorial type role for us. He puts us forward, he helps us out, he's opened a few doors and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose he's got a lot of connections, isn't he?
Yeah, he does. And he's a great guy, Bob.
Oh,
he's a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So, yeah, it was probably then that we started to do a bit more kind of investing and getting involved in things, because we had the time, I specifically had the time to do so, and I wanted to do something. I was fed up doing, I mean, it didn't mean 4 weeks, but I was kind of fed up doing anything. I didn't want to go back into the business I just exited, because I wanted to make sure that the senior management team we had then had their time to do.
Well, what else are you going to add to that business? It's done.
It almost
another
is.
thing happens,
Correct.
what you can do? Just got to make sure it maintains.
Exactly. And we put so much money into the bank that I knew the business would maintain for years. And even if they had a few years of struggle, which was always likely after COVID.
Because everyone's got a shit ton of gloves.
Correct. There was plenty of money in there that even in the bad months, there was never going to be even the slightest squeak from anyone that there was a problem.
Yeah.
So I hadn't got bored of it, because that would be a lie. I love the business, and the business will always have a phenomenally important piece of my heart, because it was the business that probably taught me the most, and I learnt the most in doing, in terms of the running of the business, the operational side of it, dealing with overseas and travel and yada yada. So if we ever do anything with an established business, I'm never quite as interested as I am as if something's smaller or new and fresh.
Yeah.
I can get my proper teeth into it, and I can put the
really
be
involved in the whole journey then, aren't you, I suppose, as opposed to...
And there's a massive amount of enjoyment.
As opposed to adding a passenger on someone else's booking.
Correct, exactly that. And there's a massive amount of enjoyment in that. There aren't many things you can do, I don't feel, in life. I mean, yeah, a surgeon who saves someone's life. I mean, that's way beyond anything I can ever do. But there's not many other enjoyment in life that you can do from watching something from here.
That, the flip side of that, for when you fail, must be horrendous as a surgeon. Yeah. Imagine that. Didn't manage to save that person. I can't...
Which when we fail, it hurts.
Yeah.
But nobody dies.
No.
So yeah, from that respect, it's different.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree.
All right, let me have a little check what I've missed out. I don't think I've missed much, you know.
Well done, you.
Oh, well, you know.
On form.
Do you have any nicknames when you're at school?
Yeah, my two nicknames, well, the nicknames I've had through life were Big Croft.
I told you, 6'3".
6'3", yeah. Big and Crawford.
Yeah.
And then the other name everybody used to know was always for the wrong reasons. It used to get me into so much trouble.
Oh, Jesus.
It was Randy. Now, there was a famous American singer. She was female, but a famous American singer called Randy Crawford. So because of my surname, people just go, yo, Randy.
Okay.
But then, of course, when you get to certain points, people would think, Randy, eh? All right. Yeah. There's a story there, isn't there? Like, genuinely there isn't.
I mean, there is, but not the one you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Or certainly not what I'm willing to share.
This is weird. Do you get recognised anywhere, like around the ground? Because I feel like your name's known, but it's your face.
That's weird, because sometimes yes and other times no. So I remember after the announcement got made, and then I did the interview with Phil, and it kind of went on. I remember the first couple of games after that, you'd walk out and it'd be like, hey, and you'd be a picture. And
yeah.
Nowadays, I can walk out the ground after the game with my family, and people will go, oh, well done, Iain, or the opposite this season. So do I get recognised? No, not that much. But does that bother me? Not at all.
Probably better in some ways.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. There's how would you put it? The more vocal of the support know who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of them. I'm not going to say us.
No.
Because I'm not anymore.
No, well, you kind of are.
I have my moments. I've had a drink. Speaking of, what's your tipple?
I'm probably, if somebody was to say to me, you have to drink the same thing for the rest of your life, alcohol-wise, I'd probably say, well, I hope they can make a good old-fashioned. Be something like that. I like scotch, I like whiskey, but an old-fashioned cocktail, which is obviously very whiskey-based, that would be probably and my mum can actually be blamed for that, because apparently the story goes that when I was teething, they had whatever the equivalent of Bonjela was back in the 1970s, and it didn't work. So the only way that she could get me to calm down was to rub whiskey on my gums.
Oh, really? Didn't stick the old dummy in it?
Well, she may well have done, I don't know. She never told me that, but she used to rub whiskey on my gums, and that would then calm me down. So from 6 months old.
Favourite takeaway?
Ooh, that's difficult. I don't mind takeaway food, but Japanese probably, if it's available.
So what's your favourite restaurant in the UK? In England? Reduce that down, don't I? Slowly. You're going for an anniversary, Valentine's or whatever, nice treat with the wife. Where are you going? Mind you, actually, technically, you should be choosing her favourite, but let's go with.
Yeah, exactly. She do, she bloody told.
Where would she choose?
Eh?
Where would your wife choose? What would her favourite be?
She'd probably choose. Her and I are very similar in likes. I would say probably the choice would be something like Nobu's.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we listen. I'm lucky that I've managed to eat in some pretty incredible places, but Nobu's, no matter where you are in the world, Nobu's is always very, very good.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Hakkasan's very good. I mean, like,
yeah.
I have to go back to Dubai in the middle of June. Darragh will happen to be there at the same time. The chances are we'll probably go for dinner, and it'll probably be Nobu's.
Is that before pre-season starts?
Yeah, pre-season's June the 30th. I think we're back.
Is it? It's quite late actually then. I thought it was earlier. Okay.
Well, we're at St George's from June the 30th. I just know that because I got my confirmation through. But yeah.
What are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about something, anything that I truly believe in. I will stand and argue to the end of, even if I'm wrong, I'll stand and argue to the end of time.
Will you?
Yeah.
And
always.
then would you? So.
But
you know when you're having that argument, and all of a sudden you think, "Shit, I'm wrong here."
I'll carry on. But the next day, I'll ring you up and say, "Jenny, to be fair, you were right."
And that, well, I remember that.
Yeah. And then I suppose my other passion is football, and my family.
Family, yeah. Conspiracy theories. Do you believe in any? Or are you all, like 9/11 and
Do I believe in conspiracy theories?
Because I can deep dive into them and think, this is are you a flat earther?
Yeah, I try to not, because I know that I'll end up down a warren that rabbit one I'll not get out of. 9/11, I just don't know. I think there's something in there. There's too many unanswerables in that.
Yeah.
And having been to Ground Zero and having, and I only went for the first time in March this year actually.
Okay.
But having been at Ground Zero now and having seen the I suppose the fallout, and you see the names and you understand kind of what. We went on a guided tour, and the girl who went on the guided tour, her best friend lost her father in he was in one of the towers, and you hear the stories about the head of security who told his company, they were on whatever floor they were on, he told them to ignore, because I think there'd been some announcement said, look, please nobody panic, nobody leave, we're just getting to the root of what's happened. And he said, this head of security said, look, I've trained you for this, fuck that, just get the hell out of this tower. But he didn't leave, so he perished. And it's like, you hear stories like that, and you think back, and it's such an incredible thing. So then it makes you kind of, I read a little bit more about it, and the more you read, I just don't know. I think there's something there. So I'm not one of those that's saying that the Americans did it to themselves or anything like that. But there's something more to it. What that something is, I don't know.
It's the Pentagon one that gets me.
Well, yeah,
And
I agree.
I think
All
out
of
of
it,
all
I
of them,
think.
that's the one that's fishy.
I think they're all a bit iffy. And I question sometimes whether, and this is no disrespect to the people who perished on that plane either, because they were obviously heroes.
Yeah.
Would the thing ever have actually made it to the White House? Or was that always the plan to make it look as... I just don't know. I don't know. But there's definitely something a bit dodgy about 9/11. The moon... Oh, I don't know. My dad says he stayed up to watch it.
Well, saying that, do you remember where you were for 9/11 when that happened?
Yeah,
Where were you?
I know exactly where I was. So I was sat in an airport
You weren't.
in Ireland, in Dublin here. I was the second last flight to leave Ireland before they shut the airspace, because Ireland's so close. Ireland is the closest landmass to the US, so the American airlines use it quite a lot as a stopover. And I'd been in Dublin on business, and I was flying back to the UK, and I remember I'd been at a function the night before, so I was a bit hungover, and I was sat in the airport waiting to catch the flight home, and I just remember looking at the TV and watching. What the fuck was that? And then you just don't register at first. And then, of course, you think, God, that's a horrendous accident. And then you're watching it, and then the next one comes, and you think, fuck, that's not an accident. There's no accident here. They literally are, as they put it at the time, they were literally under attack.
Yeah.
And it was like, shit. So I thought, I need to get home now.
Right, so obviously this whole thing is technically you can do hard things around...
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't see a lot of value in themselves, and then I think in any walk of life, anybody can get over any hurdles. They just need to be put in the right, put in a position. It's surprising what you can achieve. Whether it's sports, half marathon, whether it's getting over loss, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes people can, especially if they're struggling with something, if you can then see where other people have succeeded in things, it's sometimes quite inspirational. So with that in mind, I've got some bit of trigger words here.
Okay.
I'm just going to bounce a word at you and just see if it resonates with you of anything, or if you've got any story to tell me or anything.
Yeah.
Or if there's absolutely nothing. That's fine, but you would never live it down. Fear. What are you scared of?
I'm not scared of a lot, but I'm scared of... Well, I'm scared of spiders.
As in...
Genuinely scared of spiders.
Grotty ones. Big things with long legs.
Yeah, I mean...
The way they scurry around? Or?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I've had to teach myself, especially for the youngest two, I've had to teach myself to not show fear in front of them, because I very much showed it in front of the older two, and they're both petrified of spiders too.
Yeah.
So I deliberately don't. But there was an instance probably 7, 8 years ago, and I'd gone for a shower, and I'd come out of the shower, and the towels were hanging on a hot handrail, and I went to grab it, and just as I was moving my hand across, there was a spider. This spider, we're not talking tarantula, do you know what I mean? It was probably that size, probably the size of a modern day 50p piece, and
oh God, that's depressing. A modern day 50p piece, and I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
It was sat on the towel, so I was like, all right, I've got two options here. I either man the fuck up and try and push it off to get my towel, or I have to shout for help.
Oh God, you shouted for help, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, my life!
But at the same time, I went to try and move it. Oh, it was only a fucking jumper. So it jumped towards me. Well, honestly, I'm 6'3", I'm a big fella, and generally I've got quite a deep voice. Both my oldest kids and my wife thought I was dying because the high-pitched squeal that I must have let off.
Sound like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, totally. And then they would be nothing else. Snakes, not issue with anything else. I'll grab. My wife hates moths. I'll happily grab them. My older daughter, she hates daddy long legs and things like that. I'll happily grab them and throw them out.
That's weird because daddy long legs is a flying spider.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but spiders are horrible. So I fear them.
Around that, then, off topic. Go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't fear anything else other than. And one thing, because of my whole belief in my path, I don't fear dying or death or anything like that.
Yeah, because it'll come and come.
If there's another fear, I would hate to go too early and not see my youngest children in particular grow up.
Right, okay. Yeah, off topic slightly, but it's around fears. Well, it's not, but you'll see where I'm going with it, maybe. Reality show. Would you ever go on one? have you ever been offered one?
It was discussed a long time ago that maybe I did in my younger years apply for Big Brother.
I did that. I've applied for it.
Yeah, I applied for it.
Back in the day of like first and second season.
Yeah. I think I'd watched the first one when Craig the Builder won. I thought, that might be fun. I might try that.
I think that's when I did it.
Yeah, and I thought, do you know what, I'd give it, and I'd sent an interview in, and I got interviewed on a phone call and everything else.
Did you?
But just.
What was did you have to do? Because you had to do a video, didn't you?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I just acted up a little bit and was like.
I put my whole hand in my mouth. Did you? I was like, I can get
that's
my whole
seriously
hand
impressive.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
That's now a night out trick. But I can get my whole fist in my mouth.
My God.
And then I like necked a bit of Malibu because it's like 1980 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was mine. They didn't want me.
No, well.
Rude.
That's that. Unless they've got a few people who can stick their hand in their mouth and they're like, well, it's not
they
that
had
unique
bottles
after
in
all.
other bits, didn't they?
Yeah.
So.
Old Kinga. Yeah.
Bloody hell. Funny, isn't it? The people you remember.
Would I go on reality TV now? Probably not. It's just kind of, it's a kind of standing joke. So people think, my wife would tell you, and other people say, where are we going on holiday? We're going here, but we've got a villa. Yeah, why is that? I don't like people. I don't want to have to mingle with lots of other people. Now, there are times
sit with Sandra every morning.
There are times where I'm happy to do that, and because, especially with the little two, if you have a villa, they love the holidays and everything else, but the fun part for them on a holiday is perhaps meeting another little kid who's the same age and having that kind of thing. So I do it, and I don't mind it, but
you scoot them off to a kids club.
Yeah, well, they do.
Yeah,
it's for the peace. But because of that, I like to just keep myself to myself to some degrees. I enjoy a night out and I like mixing with people and chatting to people and everything else, but I'm not one for necessarily putting myself out there unless I really truly have to. I leave others to do that. Hence my relationship with Darragh works so well. He's happy to be the face and the gob, and I'll be the one in the background crunching the numbers and making sure everything works all right.
Yeah, okay. That's why fear made me think because I'm a celebrity. That's what it made me think.
Right.
Because the thought of being, I think for me, I'm a celebrity. What sort of thing would be your worst fear on that?
Anything that involves spiders. And there's two things I've seen them do. There's the one where they put a helmet on.
Yeah.
And then they just
like
put huntsman spiders on top of it, and they're on their faces like that. When somebody said beforehand they've gone in there, I don't like spiders, yet they have the bollocks to stand there and let that happen. I'm often thinking about how their mindset must have changed. Being in the jungle must have changed their mindset to get through that.
Or in this sort of thing, are people clever with what they say they don't like?
Well, I've already said that if I ever got to a point where I was a celebrity and they asked me to do it, I'd probably do it for the experience, but I'd tell them I was scared of heights.
Yeah, same. I'd never show out with I'm petrified. Things with tails and claustrophobia. No, thank you.
So the public would think, he's scared of heights, right? We'll get him up there.
Get him up there on a tightrope. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you. Totally.
Pain. What's some physical pain?
Pain.
Yeah. Anything you've been through?
I have an incredibly high pain threshold. That's just a thing. I'm quite lucky that way.
Always had?
Yeah, always had. To the point, even silly things I remember growing up, I came off my chopper. I had a chopper bike when I was growing up.
My God, you're old.
Yes, thank you.
It's the Scot in you, this is, the high pain threshold, I reckon.
I reckon you're probably right. Well, we're descendant of Vikings, aren't we?
Yeah, you're hitting each other with bats and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I remember coming off my chopper and taking the skin off all my elbow, completely off all my elbow. And my mum, being medically trained, was like, right, we need to make sure that's clean. I was like, okay, well, clean it up. Then she's rubbing away. She says, that's going to...
Dad, don't tell me this is you're going to be a bone.
No. She says, that's going to go a bit septic if we don't give that a proper clean. I said, well, you are clean. It said, no, a proper clean, son. I was like, all right. Well, she went and got a wire brush.
Fuck off.
And she literally got a wire brush. So literally, I had no skin over here, and she's literally got a wire brush going like that round outside. And then she must have done that for 2 or 3 days straight. She took the dressing off. There was a little bit of yellow stuff there. She'd be like, well, we'll clean it up. And she'd be like, hit it again.
What are you made of?
And so I'd just be like, I have to say even that, I'm like, oh my God, that's really quite sore. But I wasn't rolling about in bits. I fell through windows, hence these. So yeah, I'm I'm
Fell
fortunate.
through windows.
Yeah.
Fell.
I kind of went through a window.
Been pushed through a window.
Yeah, and
Okay.
ended up with them.
Wasn't free throat though, was it? So it's, you know,
Exactly.
thankful.
So pain. Yeah, touch wood.
Um,
I've not had anything serious.
surely broken toes.
Yeah, I have broken my toe actually. Yeah, I've broken my big toe, but just the one on my right foot.
Do you wear slippers at home?
No, and I should.
That sounds like weird questions, doesn't it?
No, it does sound like a weird question, but you know what? It's something I talk about all the time. So I travel a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
So I don't always travel economy either. So you get a little bag. And
Hang on, you don't always. When did you last fly economy, please? On a flight that actually offered something more than that. So don't give me economy when that's all it had.
Right,
Like a
okay.
New Zealand
I was going to
flight,
say,
it's just that.
I flew Jet 2 earlier this
Yeah,
year.
stop
but
that. I flew it.
Yeah.
I sat next to the pilot.
Yeah. It would have been...
1985.
No, probably the late 2010s, so 2017, 2018 maybe.
I'd give rather though.
It's honestly, this will make you laugh, and I know that we don't have much time. I must tell you this story. So
I've got plenty of time. Don't you worry. It's you. You're the one in demand. I ain't working right now.
it tells you kind of the life the younger children have, and I suppose it comes back to regrets in life, that things you wish you'd done differently, and that's a whole different story about the older two. But the younger two, and I've had a much more privileged life because life changed for us as we went along, and our financial positions changed, and we would go to Dubai, so they'd get to travel business, or on the and it wasn't every time, but on the odd occasion we might go first class because I might have got an upgrade for not much money and stuff like that. And we were going to Portugal. We tend to go to Portugal most years because it's a place we always go to. And I'm one of these that if I'm going on holiday, I like to be able to switch off quickly. And I can switch off quickly if I'm familiar with where I am.
Yep, makes sense.
So we go to this place in Portugal every year. And I remember we hadn't been for a couple of years through COVID and everything else. And we were going on a Jet 2 flight. And she's now 8, but she would have been 5 at the time, I think. She gets to the top of the stairs. She's still going up the front step because we were on like row 6 or 7.
Oh, she's going to go left.
She turned left. She got up to the top of the stairs and she turned left, and she kind of went, Daddy, where's our seat? Where's our seat?
I know the commoners are here.
I said, we're down this way, darling. No, we always go that way. Yeah, no, not today.
Did you die around the people?
Yeah, I did kind of think, God. Because you're travelling with people who probably, bless them, haven't never managed to get business class, and you think, oh, who's this?
Wouldn't even think of it,
coming on here.
Yeah.
I mean, Dee would tell you the same story. Him, back in the day when he had the property business, they used to travel quite a lot of places on private jets. And he always tells a story about Darcy, so his oldest daughter. She walked onto a plane once, and she was like, Daddy, why are these people getting on our plane? Do you know what I mean? Privileged existences and stuff.
Oh, it's so naive to it as well, kids, aren't they? They just don't know what.
Totally.
What's resilience? Where do you see it?
So, resilience is to me the ability to carry on when things are conspiring against you, and that's not just business. I go back to last year, and my mum, bless her, her and my dad were on holiday in Sri Lanka, and they flew home. They got home on a Sunday, or they got home on a Wednesday.
You've got a good memory for things like that, haven't you? Dates and times.
Yeah, that's something I've always been able to do. And then on that weekend, the Saturday, my mum took unwell. On the Sunday, she was fighting for her life, literally, and she took very, very unwell. And so we obviously, of course, went hearing up to Scotland to see what was going on, and they'd let her go home at this point. She was in no fit state to go home. It was a wrong decision, and I could talk to you all day about that. But anyway, I remember being sat in the back bedroom of their house where my dad had set her up because it was the room nearest to the toilet and everything else. And she just said to me, she was like, "Son, I'm done."
Oh, God.
She said, "I'm done. Would you hate me if I just closed my eyes?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I couldn't hate you, but why would you give up?"
Yeah.
And she dug in. and my mum found resilience. And while she'll never quite be the same woman she was, she's now as healthy as she can be. She's coming on holiday with us in the summer, so she's well enough to travel. The resilience she showed through that, and then on the flip of that, my mum and dad have been married since 1972, so they've been married 53 years now.
3 years before you came along.
Yeah, and I don't think my mum had a bad back at one point. I vaguely remember when I was about 12, 13, and she had to lie on the floor for about a week. And but aside from that, I don't remember mum ever really being that unwell. So for 53 years, or the best part of, my mum has looked after my dad. My dad's not had to do jack shit. My dad can't cook, can't wash, can't clean. My mum has done all of that.
Yeah.
My dad's been out, old school kind of relationship at that point. My dad went out and earned the money. My mum looked after the home and the boys and everything else. And then when she could, she went back to work. But that was just... And he showed amazing resilience 12 months ago because he all of a sudden had to be the one who cooked, cleaned, washed, and everything else, having never done it. And I didn't... Jenna, my brother and I spoke about it. I generally didn't think he could do it. But the resilience he showed was phenomenal. And I said to him, he was meant to come to the Wembley final, and obviously couldn't because of my mum had taken really unwell about 2 weeks before.
So when that final happened, you were quite distracted, I imagine.
Yeah, that it did take away from
it.
It did take away from it because my dad wasn't there, and I knew the reasons he wasn't there. My brother came and my nephew came, just I think to get my nephew, because my nephew lives in the same town. He was seeing his gran regularly, so I think I said to my brother, I said, look, just bring him south, get him away from mum for a little while. We could, of course, we won, and we won late, and he got to celebrate, and he's become a right little Peterborough fan, the little lad. So, it did detract from it a little bit, which meant it made this year even more special because my dad got to come down and he got to appreciate it, and she was there too to kind of be part of it afterwards and everything else. That made it for me.
So it's more special because the year before makes you, it realises how easy it is to have it taken away and not be there as well.
Absolutely.
Here's one, drugs. Has that had any come into your life at all?
Well, I might have partaken a little bit, but I mean, as you get older, you tend to get more sensible, and so no, that's a lie. As you get older, the opportunities diminish, I think would be the way to put it. There's less opportunity to probably partake in anything that's either medicinal or illegal, really. And I suppose with responsibility and parenthood and everything, you kind of have to be the sensible one. But
reputation.
As a younger man, and because I've had less opportunity as an older man, it's been less. But as a younger man, I think I would have partaken and dabbled just to see what impact they had on me, and some did, some didn't.
So you don't have you're not like strong against. You're not. I'm not going to say no one should be full on it.
No, not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily a massive fan that hardcore Class A should be legalised, but I do think that the drug laws are probably a little bit OTT. I mean, drugs can ruin lives and everything else, and I've seen firsthand what it's done to some people. But for some people, it is recreational, and I think it should carry a little bit less of a stigma than it does personally. But again, I'm not advocating that we all end up like train spotting.
Train spotting, yeah, of course, yeah. Do you think there's in sports world? Do you think it's still around like it used to be, or well hidden, or do you think it's
not around like it used to
or?
be? I think because the drug testing systems are far, far more stringent than they ever used to be. Do I think it completely non-existent? No, I think it's still there. I think it's probably easier to be hidden. I do believe that. I think it's been done less, but I think that it definitely still exists.
It's not happening on the morning of somebody said they were doing a bit of coke before a game on a Sunday or something. I can't think what it was now. Back in the day.
I'm sure that probably did happen back in the day. Then they'd have 2 pints and 20 fags before they went and played. But no, there's none of that happens in Peterborough. Let me tell you that.
Well, not anymore. I don't know if it did a little while ago with football, with TVs going through windows and stuff.
Yes,
that was a season.
Yeah, Josh and Jason were the exception to the rules recently, shall we say?
Jason, yeah. sunning it in Australia now, isn't he?
He's done really well for himself,
Yeah.
and he seems to have turned himself around a little bit because he had a few issues. When we signed him, I said to I said, we have a player here. Because I'd seen him in Scotland. I said, this guy is really good. I said, we've done well to get him. And then it just all kind of went a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah. There's another one that was like that. George Cooper is another one.
Yeah, Judge. So he was a very talented kid,
Yeah.
but just couldn't quite have the head screwed on right.
I met him on his first game. We were doing something backstage, met him. He scored on his debut, didn't he? And but yeah, so I obviously ruined his career too.
Yeah, you did. So there's a common theme
There's
here.
a few. Yeah. Keep me away from that changing room for various reasons.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably,
Certainly will do moving forward.
Yeah. Depth. I think by depth I've meant as in water, deep water. Because that scares me. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you
so
talk about
deep what's down there.
talk about fear earlier, and I suppose I said I'm not scared of much. The sea scares me a little bit. I'd love to be wealthy enough to own a fucking fancy yacht, but
I thought you were going to say an island then.
But well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind being as wealthy as Richard Branson. That'd be lovely. But yeah, my 8-year-old is a phenomenal swimmer. Like she's 8 and she competes against 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds and wins. I mean, she's insane. I can't swim butterfly. She's 8 and she swims the most perfect butterfly you've ever seen.
Am I putting money on her to swim for England or what? Or would you make her do it for Scotland? No, she'd be England, wouldn't she?
No, I'd let her swim for England. Probably. It would kill me, but I'd let her do it. As long as I'd only let her swim for England as long as she promised me she'd get into Team GB. We were away somewhere. Funnily enough, we were in the UAE, but we weren't in Dubai. We were in Ras Al Khaimah, which is further down the coast.
Okay.
And it was her birthday, because her birthday is the 8th of April, so it always kind of falls around the Easter holidays. So we're generally away for her birthday.
Yeah.
And we'd, just as a special treat, we'd hired a yacht for the day, 2 or 3 crew and everything. It wasn't a big yacht, just a small one. We took it in, and he moored in the middle of the sea. And so he's like, well, we'll stop you now. Feel free to jump in, swim around it, one thing or another. So the water wasn't aqua crystal clear. And so I was like, don't know. And my wife said, you're going to need to get in or they won't get in. I was like, fucking all right. At this point, without a word of a lie, the 8-year-old came running past me and just lobbed herself straight off the edge. She had absolutely zero fear. So if you have to ask her, she doesn't care. I said, there could be sharks in there. She went, oh, well.
Well, Dad, my time's my time.
Yeah, well, exactly. And there was never going to be sharks there, but I just said, hi, sharks. She was like, I probably don't fear the sea, as you said, and you mentioned depth. I probably don't fear the sea on the top level, but I'd hate to think what's down there. And I think there's a lot down there that we've not discovered yet. In terms of weird-ass creatures.
Yeah, you know, like when you see, there's like some reels where you see like the depth of water and how big an animal is or something, and you look and you think, and how far we've actually been down, and we haven't. No, not for me.
No, I agree with you. The sea is a very scary and very dangerous place.
Illness.
Do you know what?
Mum? Is that probably the biggest one you've had to deal with?
Yeah, probably. My uncle, my dad's elder brother.
Yeah.
And I said, my aunt asked me to do the eulogy at my uncle's funeral, and I said in the eulogy that I was quite fortunate in my life. I had 3 heroes other than my dad, my mum's brother, the financial director, uncle, and my uncle had passed away. And him and I were very close. He was a cricketer too, and then he played golf, so we played golf together and stuff. And watching him fight cancer was not easy. He fought it for a couple of years, but it took him far too young. So I mean, in terms of illnesses, that's probably the one that's impacted me most. Until my mum took him well last year, which wasn't mercifully cancer. I've had a couple of cancer scares in my life, and generally she gets. I mean, this is bad news for you, by the way. Generally, when you get to your mid-40s and afterwards, I seem to get. I almost got to the point
What do
where
you mean, me in my mid-40s, blow my cover? What's wrong with you?
I always thought I was kind of invincible.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly start to think, actually, maybe I'm just not. And then I've had a couple of cancer scares in the last 2 years. One of them was pretty hairy, and a few tears were shed when all clear came through, and then I've had a liver issue and stuff recently. So illness has become more prevalent as I've got older. I'm not as healthy as I was 5 years ago, but I'm healthier than I probably was, ironically, about 15, 20 years ago, because I was much bigger than I am now, and I lost a lot of weight. And I'm back on trying to be healthy again now, because I'm now 50, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm still
Fit
here
at
when
50?
I'm 6. Yeah, exactly. Try to be here when I'm, well, fit 50, 60, and then whatever.
Yeah.
Still here at 70. If I can achieve that, then great.
Cancer will get you if something else beats it to it.
Correct.
Beats
That's
it
right.
to
And
whatever.
it's like the say, isn't it? Like 1 in 2 or 1 in 2.5 or 1 in 3 people, whatever the figures are. And then you sit down, of an evening, and if I've got all my kids, and my wife said there's 6 of us, I think, well, fucking, that's 2 of us then. Do you know what I mean?
Fucking
It's
hell,
like
yeah.
when you look at it that way, it's
Yeah.
a bit.
Grim, innit?
But then you might be the lucky family, and then the poor fuckers the next door down,
Someone's got
all
6
4
out
of them might
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Do you know what I
quite,
mean? It's
yeah.
one of them.
We've had kind of covered this one a little bit. Determination.
Something I've always been blessed with. My family would tell you that
Makes you a good entrepreneur, right?
I don't like to accept no as an answer. I will always keep pushing and pushing.
Bit like when you argue a point even when you know you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm one of those that I can admit when I'm wrong, but not at the time. And determination is always something I've been blessed with. Am I the smartest man on the planet? No. Am I the hardest working man on the planet? No. But am I one of the most determined? I would say so.
I think it's one of the reasons got you where you are today.
Yeah, there's no question.
Well, this is a bleak one. Sexual violence.
Wow. That's a topic and a half.
It is. So something where this came up in conversation, is not quite to this degree, but sexism within work and generationally.
Yeah.
I see it's really something I've seen is quite...
It's a lot worse now, I think, than it ever used to be.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'll qualify that by saying that I suppose back in the day, talking my parents' generation, it was just assumed the man went out to work. He'd work, he'd go to the pub, have a few beers, he'd go meet his wife, would have the dinner on the table,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is
Yeah,
sexism.
yeah.
And then it improved massively. And I think kind of almost our generation have played a major part in bringing that back in line. But then I think it got worse again. And that's why this whole woke society now exists, I think, because we've gone from here to here with it. And I think it's a little bit OTT. I think some things are blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And that's not me decrying it in any way. I mean, any form of violence, sexual violence, is by far the worst.
It's I worked in that area for 4.5 years,
yeah.
and one of the things that we were kind of taught or make you realise when you're dealing with victims of it is, rape is second only to murder because your murder victim doesn't survive it,
Correct.
doesn't live it again.
Yeah,
whereas
totally. And that
victim
is a
of rape.
very, very good way of putting it, actually. I can think of, and if somebody ever did anything like that to any close friend or family member of mine, I would do time.
And the biggest problem is it will always be pretty much one word against the other.
Correct.
And
always.
that's such a...
It is horrendous.
Awful.
It's horrendous that, and it's the one element of society even today that exists that's dreadful, that I don't know the numbers, you probably know them better than me, but there's only something, is there not something like a single figure percentage of actual rape cases ever actually either A, get reported or B, prosecuted, and that's just horrific.
It used to be something like that, and I think it was only 20% would get, was it convicted off charge?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's horrendous. It's horrendous. And do you know the other thing that really pisses me off with that is the fact that when you hear about rape cases, they don't talk so much, I don't feel, about the girls who have been raped. They talk about the ones who haven't but claim they have. So they tend to become big news stories when somebody's found out for having made a false claim, which it's not as bad, but it's not good.
Yeah.
They get talked about a lot, but then the hundreds of cases of people who are actually raped, that it almost feels like it gets swept to the side a little bit, and they focus on the people who did cry wolf rather than those who actually suffered.
Well, is it because the focus there isn't really on her crying wolf, it's on the devastating thing that's happened to the man that it's against.
Possibly.
So is it still falling into a bit of a male-dominated,
Yeah.
you know, free him,
misogyny
he's
there,
not
isn't
done
I
it,
suppose?
he's da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
one of the things with, when I was in Operation Sapphire, which is what it's called in the Met, it was one of those, there's a massive fight. There were two bigger cases that had basically just been, the suspects had been found, they'd done loads of cases and loads of offences, but they were cross area around London. So at that point, they then made it more central. And there was a massive focus on getting people to report. So you've then got a load of people reporting, which is why those numbers have gone up, because we're encouraging it.
Yeah.
Is it
Which
being
is good.
handled? You know, it is, but I remember we used to deal with some, you know, you'd have a report of something that simply, I'll give you an example. We'd have a report of somebody there were sections in the Mental Health Act. So they're in a hospital, call it St Anne's or wherever, in a hospital in London, Chase Farm, made an allegation of they'd been raped on the street outside, which we know couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Because they physically are unable to live.
Yeah.
But that would still show as an allegation. And we could, you know, it's very difficult to prove that something hasn't happened, you know, so to non-crime a crime.
Yeah.
You know, say no crime's happened, well, she still thinks it has.
It has,
And
yeah.
if
You've
she
got
thinks
to
it
deal
has,
with that. And
if she thinks it has, it still happened here.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter if it hasn't.
The whole
Such an
thing
area.
surrounded by that is
Yeah.
it's just dreadful. Dreadful. It's aside from murder, as you say, it's the worst crime.
Yeah,
just
it was
the worst crime.
Yeah, dark, very dark.
Very.
Religion, not religious at all.
No, not religious at all. I was brought up as a Protestant. My gran, my mum's mother, she went to church a lot, and so when I was a kid, she became a church elder. So she was one of the ones, and they'd go in every Tuesday and Thursday, and they'd help clean it and everything else. And as a kid growing up on school holidays and stuff, I'd go and help. But that was as close as I ever got to religion. I'm not religious at all.
If someone could scientifically prove to you that it's real, would you then sort of?
It would have to be. I mean, it'd have to be unequivocal beyond all belief.
All doubt. Yeah, I hear it. Loss. So you've not suffered too much.
I'm very lucky.
Loss?
I'm very lucky in so much as, aside from my uncle,
Yeah.
and obviously my grandparents,
Yeah.
and even then actually, my granddad on my mum's side passed away before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
The toughest one for me was my mum's mum. She looked after us all summer holidays. Even when we lived down in the south of England, we'd be driven up to Scotland for 6-7 weeks, and we'd stay there for 6-7 weeks. My parents would bugger off back down south, and then we'd stay there.
Give them some respite.
She was a loss. She was a massive influence on my life in my early years. My uncle as well. But I'm lucky. Both my parents are still here. I'm fortunate.
Me too, actually. I'm quite fortunate. Heights. So you're not afraid of heights then?
No, but
Here we go.
when I was younger, I would happily go to theme parks and everything else, and I'd jump out of airplanes with a parachute.
Oh, have you done that?
No, but I'd have happily done it.
Okay.
I'd have happily done it. But when I'm sitting in it now, the enjoyment is less because I'm thinking of everything that could go wrong.
Could go wrong. Yeah.
Whereas before, it didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah. Just
So I'm not scared of heights. Well, I was in New York recently, and we went to Ground Zero.
Mm-hmm.
There's the observation tower way up the top of the new tower, and it's like one of the highest buildings in New York. I'll happily go and stand right at the edge of the glass and look
Oh,
down. Doesn't
absolutely not.
bother me. You know these things where you hold onto the glass and then they tilt it.
Stop it.
Yeah, that kind of thing wouldn't bother me at all. Not
I
an issue for me.
can't. When we went to Vegas a year or so ago, we stayed in Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
With a suite in there, and it was had a glass balcony.
yeah.
Because I just couldn't. I was a mess. Couldn't barely go out there.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's whereas some rides, as long as I'm strapped in,
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Nah, genuinely. And even those things where you can walk across glass and look down. Nah, it wouldn't bother me at all. That amazes me of you.
I know heights is a big one for me.
Wow.
There's a video of me going up the Eiffel Tower, and I'm like like that. I'm like, I can't look, And there's another one of, where was I? Top of the Rocks
Yeah.
in New York, and it was in the evening, so I was convinced it was swaying. I mean, it probably was a little bit.
It probably was.
I was again pinned to the side, like I can't do this. So heights is not good for me.
No, it doesn't bother me.
Growth. Where was your biggest, not physically, but time when you've grown?
What?
Your turning point sort of thing in your life? Where you've hit a wall or something and then you've had to like really...
I suppose the story I told you earlier about when I took a step back from the business and I did that for me, which is something that...
Oh, after the 2 weeks of...
Yeah, something I don't think I've really done very often in my life. And that was I did something for me. I'm very much one of those people who make sure everybody else is okay and I'll make sure that everybody else has got what they need.
And if they're okay, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even take into consideration what anybody else needed or wanted then. I made that decision for myself. So that felt for me as if that was real growth for me because I'd always, even at 45 years old, I'd not done anything for me. So I was like, oh, that felt all right actually. I didn't mind doing that. But even though we've gone past it and I'm involved in other things, I still tend to always make sure everybody else is okay first and then I'll worry about me after. And then the birth of my third child, because the gap was so long, I was a very different person and a very different father second time around.
Yeah.
I think I've properly grown as a parent second time. I probably wasn't the greatest dad.
Fortunate I suppose, to get more opportunities to do that, aren't you? And improve.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I couldn't, back then I was working every hour God sended to try and make sure we had a nice life and everything else. And I was trying to build everything and one thing and another.
So thinking the financial security.
Things are more built now. So I have the financial security. So if I want to do the school run, I can. Yeah. I just couldn't do the school run for the older two because I was leaving the house at 6:30 to go to work and stuff like that. So,
would you have done that differently if you did it again?
Yeah.
Been there more. Yeah. You'd be a different person. Well, no, you wouldn't because fate would have led you.
Yeah, but even if I was still in the same financial position as I was then, knowing what I know now, I would try to find a way of being more present in their life.
Realising how much it actually matters being there. Because I think you don't realise when you're not there.
Yeah.
You don't realise.
I don't, for now a second, don't think that my other two kids don't love me like the little two do, but I'm very aware of the fact that the little two get so much more, or have had so much more of me in their younger years than the older two ever did.
More presence. Success. What is success to you?
Well, at my age, it's waking up every morning, but...
Stop it.
What's success? Success takes very various forms. Happiness and contentment, that's success, because not everybody is. Making money in the world that I operate in the business world I operate in, making money is a sign of success. Watching my children blossom and bloom is a massive success for me. And that counts for the older ones. My daughter is one of the youngest managers for, what was BGL, whatever it's called nowadays. My boy is...
What's she?
My boy is now head of...
Oh, was he at the club?
Yeah, head of recruitment for under 17s to under 14s.
Okay. How old is he?
He'll be 22 in a couple of weeks.
Oh wow, come
on. And then the youngest two are incredible. So yeah, watch them all blossom. That for me is true success. I mean, I do what I do for my family ultimately.
Do you consider yourself a success though? Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time.
When
I do occasionally, and it's. Do
you remember that point where you sat there and thought, "Fuck me, I've done it. There's always other things. Don't get me wrong, but you sort of think, do you know what? I'm happy with my lot. I've got it. I've done it.
I've had a couple of moments like that in my life. One of them was when I just bought myself our second house in the US, and I sat in it. I was like, I fucking just bought myself a $7 million house in the USA. I've fucking done all right. And the other time was I was sat in the first time I went through first class. I was like,
yeah.
So this is what it's like.
I'll let you know how that feels the second time around when it happens for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
One day, yeah.
I'm sure it'll be soon.
Oh, here's another trigger one. This is up there with sexual violence. This one, this is good.
God.
Infidelity.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very
men
aware.
and women, isn't it?
I'm very well aware of it. I think it probably happens way more now than it ever used to.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't imagine there was as much infidelity around when my parents generation than there was certainly in my generation and potentially, I guess, future
I
generations.
can't imagine how, my mum or my dad would have been sat at home trying to... How do you communicate with someone saying, I'm going to meet you on the corner at such and such time?
The world we live in now has made infidelity so easy.
Easy, yeah.
So simple. And
it works the other way as well, though. If you're over the side with somebody, how were you getting caught?
yeah, exactly. That
Back in the day.
is also
Now,
true. I can't ever... I'm a very non-judgmental person. I don't tend to judge people.
Yeah.
I do make a... And this comes from my mum because she's very bad at it. I'll make a judgment on someone, what they're like as a person within 30 seconds of meeting them. Within 30 seconds, I'll decide if I'm going to like you or not.
Right.
That's just the way I am. My mum kind of... I fed that off my mum.
I don't think you can stop that feeling if you have that.
No,
vibe.
and I just can't do it. But in terms of judging someone for the way they live their life and what they do, I've always been a great believer of you do you. Infidelity is a very difficult subject because I know so many people who have been involved in it and done it, and for some people it's the best thing they've ever done because the infidelity has led to them then finding the person they were maybe meant to be with in the first instance.
Yeah.
But of course, the infidelity has the flip side where it's
Someone's always going to
destroyed families and stuff like that. But yeah, I think infidelity now is just a part of society. I think it's one of those things that I think that there'll come a point in time not so far down the line probably where 50% of people are probably in relationships that they're not wholly faithful.
Yeah, I think as well.
And it also comes from, I think there was a lot more, what's the word? There would have been a time probably in my parents' generation where if a single woman, or indeed a single man, was approached by a married person, they'd be, oh, come on, you're married.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I think the single man or single woman parks that to the side and almost...
If it suits a narrative.
Yeah, if they enjoy the other person's company,
Yeah.
and it's not impacting their life, and in fact it's probably enriching that person's life,
Yeah.
you can probably just completely park whatever else is going behind and you focus on the together time, if you like. And so I
Focus on what's coming good out of it.
I totally get that as well.
Yeah.
It's always, you should always try and focus on the good stuff.
Career. What? I'm not sure how that runs with you can do hard things. How has your career shaped you?
I think because I've had to work pretty fucking hard to get to what I have now. I think my career probably has made me appreciate what I have now far more than I might have done had it come to me easily. My career and the career path that I took has opened way more doors for me in various walks of life than I ever thought it would do. There's still times where I wake up and I wish I'd been a pathologist because that was always kind of what I wanted to do. You know that Silent Witness?
Yeah.
Yeah, that programme. There's an Irish...
Oh my God, I was thinking, that's not what I had in my head. I had in my head the bone...
Oh, yeah.
What are they called?
Well, yeah, that's kind of a similar thing. A pathologist does the same thing. But there's a
Digging up ruins, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, forensics and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Oh, no, you're thinking archaeologist.
That's what I'm thinking. Very similar to pathologist.
Well,
but yeah,
there's
anyway.
bones involved.
Yeah.
I think that job would be really cool. Really cool. Going to somewhere where something really bad's happened and be like a socko and stuff and then be able to pull things together and that. But as I'm blatantly not going to be one of them,
I don't think you work on the salary, if I'm honest.
No.
That salary is not going to be working on your first class job.
No, indeed. So I think that my career and the path that I took, as I said to you earlier, Jen, I've worked fucking hard for most of, if not all, my working life. I started work very early. I didn't go down the university route. I've worked really, really hard. I've managed to work with and had working for me some incredibly talented people. And some of my career and some of the paths I've taken has been luck. It's just one of those things that yes, you make your own luck, but sometimes in life it lands on your lap.
It finds you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think is the hardest thing that you've had to deal with in your life? Been the biggest struggle, the biggest,
The hardest thing I've had to deal with.
We've really had to find yourself to get through it.
I think the loss of my grandmother, because I was 18-ish at the time and 19, and she had been such a massive part of my life that.
Oh, have you grown up for your school holidays and stuff?
Yeah. She had been like a second mum in that respect, and when she passed, there was a moment. My dad and I had gone to watch someone play football on a Saturday afternoon, and my grandma's in hospital. Well, my grandmother was in hospital, and so we'd agreed that after the football was finished, we'd nip across the hospital because it was in the same town or just close by. We'd go and see her, talked a little bit about the football, and I think it'd been a draw. I genuinely can't remember. And we talked a little bit about that and a little bit about work and stuff. And she then said, "Oh, son, just do us a wee favour. Just go and get the nurse for me, will you?" I was like, "You okay?" She went, Yeah, just get the nurse." So anyways, I get the nurse comes across. And she beckons the nurse to her, and the nurse comes down and she whispers something in her ear. And she says, "You away with your dad and go and get yourself a cup of tea or something and just come back in 5 minutes." I was like, "Okay. Whatever." So my dad and I went and got a drink, come back about 5 minutes later. And my gran had gone from being on a hospital bed, kind of shuffled up a wee bit to speak to me. She was sat up in her bed. Sat up. They'd propped her up properly. She had lippy on. They'd put some makeup on. I was like, "What's happened here, Gran?" She said, "I just thought I'd make an effort for you." I was like, "Oh, it's very good of you. You look beautiful." And I was at the door of the side room. I said, "Right, I love you and I'll see you soon." And I blew her a kiss. And she said, "You might, but you might not." She said, "And remember one thing and promise me one thing." She said, "Always do your best, and what's for you in life will never pass you by." And I was like, "Okay." She died the following morning.
She knew, didn't she?
Yeah. So it was like, that probably would be the one moment in my life that shaped me, I suppose, if that's the right way to put it, into the person that I have become as I've got older, because the two little things, always try your best, and what's for you won't pass you by. But I drum them into my children. I have lived my life by that, because I think that was her final little parting message to me, was like, always do your best. So, and that's why I've always worked really hard and tried really hard. And it's like, I know they say, and I'd always heard people know, but just, my mum's still convinced to this day that she would have gone earlier had I gone to see her sooner. She was just holding on to her grandson going to say goodbye.
A favourite.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's sad or happy, or it's a strange.
Well, it's a
one,
combination
isn't it?
of both, isn't it? It's very sad at the time, but see, when I look back on it now, and I think it's a beautiful memory that I have of my gran, and it has shaped me to be who I am today.
Your involvement now? Do you see that staying and getting bigger, a bigger responsibility?
I've no desire I've no desire to walk away. In any way, shape or form. I love being part of the football club, to be a supporter and then to be able to be an owner, albeit very minority owner. I suppose a little bit of reaching of an ambition, I suppose, in that respect. It's I suppose every fan wants to be able to say that they own their football club as such, but will what I do change? Probably not massively, Jenny, because my involvement at the moment is I tend to be involved in the academy, the women's team.
Yeah.
Dawn and Liz and everybody else involved knows that if they ever need to pick somebody's brain on something, that I'm always available. But
almost a bit neutral, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys are so good at what they do that generally they have no need to. And Alex as well. And we do have a fantastic.
It's absolute gold in that role, isn't he, Alex?
Staff. Yeah, I mean, what the commercial team have achieved in the last 2-3 years. I mean, in general, but the last 2-3 years in particular is just incredible. I mean, let's if it's fucking nailed, or even if it's not nailed down, he'll still sell it somewhere.
100%, yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. But the football club, Darragh is the heartbeat of that place. So there is no need for me to be any more involved in it than I am. I enjoy the highs and don't enjoy the lows. This season's
They make the highs higher though, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And that, somebody asked me, why Peterborough? I said, well, A, because I'm a fan. B, because my best mate needed my help and wanted me to get involved. He said, well, why would you not want to be involved? I said, I'm not sure you'd get the same level of enjoyment. Okay, we won trophies in consecutive seasons at Posh, but we might not, well, let's be honest, we're going to win the league and get the three-peat next year. But obviously. But because they're not regular occurrences, it does make those moments so much more. When you're kind of a smaller provincial club like we are, it makes it so much greater than it would be if you were winning trebles every year. I mean, it's lovely and all, but I think you get bored of it after a while.
Has there ever been a player that you really wish we'd signed? Whether a personal reason or because just because you like them, or you like the way they play, or that you look and think.
There's probably been a couple of players that have played in Scotland because I have a far greater knowledge of Scotland that I think would have slotted right into the way we play.
We send everyone up there, don't we?
But ever since the Stevie Evans season, where we brought in Mark O'Hara, and we brought in Jason Cummins, and we brought in the right back whose name escapes me, Jason Naismith. And then we brought another lad in, Darren Lyon, who was bloody dreadful. But anyway, ever since that season, I think the football club's a little bit once bitten, twice shy when it comes to Scottish football. So I don't think they're kind of keeping them at arm's length a wee bit. But there's been a couple of players that have played kind of because I obviously.
I remember George Grant, he went up there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's done all right for Hearts.
Yeah.
Mark O'Hara.
Yeah, he's done really well.
Is now the captain of St Mirren, and St Mirren have got into Europe for the first time in like 27 years last season.
Was he in 8th, Mark O'Hara?
Yeah, should have done it. This season we're bloody unlucky. They just missed out by a point or something. Just the season just finished. He's an absolute revelation up there. So there are. Did
you have any kind of anything to do with him going to St Mirren then?
No, I have to say I didn't. I have to say I didn't. But when the opportunity came along, and my brother was telling me about it, and so I indirectly know the guys that run it.
Yeah.
And so I spoke to a fellow I know up there who actually he runs their websites and everything. But he also handles a lot of my emails, and he sets up all my emails account. Okay. And I messaged him, I said, well, you want to have a word with Brian, who was the GM at the time, and said, tell me if you can sign O'Hara, you do have a good job for us. I said, because he never really got... At Peterborough, he started like a house on fire. He scored an absolute rocket about the second or third game in, right into the top left-hand corner. Can't remember who it was against. But then he went through a phase where he literally couldn't pass if I was Mark O'Hara now, I couldn't have passed the ball to you without passing it over there instead of to you sat there. And it just impacted him, and then he just petered away, and he ended up at Lincoln on loan, and then he went back to Scotland. But he's gone. He's from that part of the world as well. I think he's from Paisley, so he's just he's a hometown club, but it's just worked. I mean, let's be honest. There are people that we should have signed, wish we'd signed. There's a lad called George Edmondson, who was at Oldham, I think, centre half, who we were really close to signing, and he was like another Ronnie Edwards. Mm-hmm. And we got pipped at the last minute, and I think he ended up at Ipswich maybe, but then he played for Glasgow Rangers, and I think he's back now playing in the Championship somewhere. He's the one, he'd have gone the same way as Ronnie, I think, in terms of ability. And if the two of them had ever played together, then...
Do you reckon Ronnie's the player that's going to do it?
I think so. I think he didn't get the opportunity at Southampton. QPR took him out on loan. It's probably
better for him, wasn't it? Championship.
And he's done...
Like Harrison.
Well, he's won their player of the season.
Yeah, how? He's only been there 5 minutes.
No, exactly.
Amazing.
And they pushed him ever so slightly further forward. So I think that...
Floppy hair, he's looking like a footballer as well now.
I think, yeah. I think Harrison will play Premier League next season. I think Sheffield United will go. And I have a sneaking suspicion if Sheffield United go up, there'll be interest from other clubs that might take him anyway. He's of all the footballers I've ever known, he's probably the one who surprised me the most.
It surprised me how much he has stepped up.
He was a good footballer. Yeah. But I know of Harrison from days of yore because my boy was the year below him in school, and of course he went to Spalding Grammar. And
how did I not know that?
I don't know how you didn't know that, but he was the year below my son, and my son they were playing, and my son, he still talks about it now. They were playing a lunchtime footed kick around. He said, oh yeah, I used to nutmeg Harrison constantly. No, one time I got him twice in one game, blah, blah, blah. And it's like he's gone from that, and then you watch him break into the first team, and you think, you're not bad. And then he just had that season, and he went from being a reasonably good League One player to head and shoulders above every other left back in the league. And then even going to Sheffield United, I thought, he'll get a crack, he'll do well, I'm sure, but Sheffield United, they were a good side with a good squad of players. He might get halfway through the season and find his game time drops a little bit because they're maybe pushing for promotion, and so but he hasn't. And he's made he's Championship left back of the year, and I hope they got through the playoffs. I think he deserves it. It'd be good for the football club financially, of course, but I think he'll play Premier League next year.
Was it the same financial outcome for either Coventry or
Sheffield United is marginally better.
Okay.
But not to the point that had Coventry made it and then beaten Sheffield United, we wouldn't have gone off, for fuck's sake.
No,
the difference was negligible in the scheme of things. Yeah. So ideally, we would have loved a Sheffield United Coventry final, because then we could have sat with our feet up and
just
fucking
ready
slippers
to
on
spend
and smoking the cigars. But
do you know another one? I didn't think Ivan would show as well as he did in Championship. He actually did better nights.
No, I agree. And even when he took a step up to the
longer.
Prem,
Yes,
I thought he'd not do so well, but he's proved me wrong continually. I mean, the way he takes a penalty kick's fucking ridiculous. To do it when he did it in the heat of the moment in the major
England,
tournaments.
He reminds the way Lyle Taylor does his.
Yes.
Very similar.
Yes. I mean,
both of them,
Lyle was another one who probably could have made a little bit more of his career, actually. He didn't get... And again, it comes down to luck and breaks. He didn't get the move or the break to break into... If I had Lyle Taylor gone to somewhere
Brentford, wasn't he?
If he had gone somewhere like Brentford, he'd have kicked on, just as Ivan did. Lyle Taylor was a good player. Is he just retired? Did he just retire, did I just read?
No, not quite.
He must be close then.
He was playing for a League Two side, wasn't it, Colchester?
Colchester, that's where he was.
He's with the Cowleys, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he knows them.
Yes, of course.
I often sort of look at, I think of Lala, so you know how we bought Mazza McLean for the strikers?
Yeah.
I feel like Lyle could do a job like that for us.
Probably. In time, it's something the strikers need.
Because he knows Darragh as well, doesn't he, Lyle? He's done a few podcasts with him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much.
No
I
problem.
could carry on, but I'm conscious you've got, a life. I haven't. But
You've got a dog. Dog needs walking.
He gets enough walks. He's at home with the builders, isn't he? When I left earlier, apparently all he did was howl while I wasn't there. I thought he was a good boy. Absolutely not. Attention-seeking little shit. A bit like someone else.
Where does he get that from,
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. Really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.